playoffs, but you also have to know when to change your game plan. And I don't know that we'll see that, but there's more options here than I think we've had in quite some time with this hockey team. Can I get you to buy into that one?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that was in a lot of ways the story of last night. Now, we veered off and talked about the Joel Edmondson effect last night, but let's not overlook the more obvious story. Bobby McMahon, 2 goals and an assist. Pontus Holmberg, 2 goals, including the game winner. I mean, we've been talking about depth and the search for depth, the quest for depth. They didn't necessarily bring in a lot of it at the trade deadline, meaning the guys that are, in the locker room, as Brad Treliving said on March the 8th, we're going to ask for a lot from the guys within the locker room. Now, a lot of people took that to mean the core 4, who obviously are the most important 4 guys in that locker room. But look, in these 6 games now, Jim, without Mitch Martin in the lineup, 4 games without Calle Jarnkrok in the lineup, and they're rolling along after the trade deadline here with a really good record. 4-1-1 since the deadline, and you look at it like Matthews is pulling his weight. He's got 11 points in those 6 games. Tavares 11 points in those 6 games with a nice resurgence when he has struggled at times this season. And then it's Domi who's really asserted himself of late with 8 points in these past 6 games. Timothy Liljegren, who had a great game last night, has 6 points. So there's some depth showing there. Bobby McMahon, 5 points in the last 6 games, including that 3-point night last night. So I think that's the optimism, right? The optimism is there are people in that room who can answer the bell when called upon, and they're starting to show it as the season winds down.
It's interesting, and then, of course, there's a Samsonov injury last night. We're told from reports today that it's not as bad as originally feared. I don't know exactly what that means, but it doesn't sound like it's anything serious, which is really good news because he looked like he was in some pain there.
That was a very concerning moment, wasn't it? A big, wide stretch, the big, wide splits in the butterfly, and to see a guy go from those big, wide, side-to-side splits, sliding across the crease from left to right, and then kind of crumple forward as he clearly is in discomfort. Not a good thing to look at when you're talking about a goaltender who got you through the first round last year in Ilya Samsonov and has been a stalwart since his midseason reset, shall we say, for the Maple Leafs. But yeah, good news to hear that it wasn't as bad as it looked, according to Sheldon Keefe, and that he is going to be fine, even though we will see Joseph Woll tonight. I'm fascinated to see Woll tonight because, look, I mean, he's had 4 starts since coming back from the 85-day absence due to his high ankle sprain. Only 4 starts because Samsonov's been so good, 5-1-0 during that stretch. Woll not as good, obviously, 2-2 with an .876 save percentage. So look, and now Sheldon Keefe is saying that the remaining games will essentially see these 2 split the games down the stretch. So 12 games to go. I guess we're going to see, something in the range of 6 and 6 each, which will be important for both of these guys to hone their craft. But I think maybe more important for Woll to reestablish what he was before he got injured, which was, trending toward being the number 1 guy in the Toronto crease.
Leafs getting set to take on the Canes in Carolina. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
MLB Network Radio gets you ready for opening day with a tour of spring training.
Baseball is back.
Hear interviews with all-stars.
This is Mike Trout.
This is Bryce Harper.
I'm Aaron Judge.
This is Mookie Betts.
And insight and analysis of all 30 teams.
When I look at this rotation, I see it competing with some of the best rotations in baseball.
Listen to your favorite team's preview show right now on the all-new SiriusXM app. Just search Spring Training.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get over them.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, overhead!
And get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to Sirius XM FC 157.
The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back, stick handles to the backhand, moves in front, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Yes guy, no guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, drivers and passengers, time now for the extremely rare Yes Guy, No Guy edition on Sunday night, Leafs game night. I don't know that we've ever done this before in a regular season situation. Dave, you all set?
Love it, Guy.
Okay, here we go. And I'm going to, some of these are setup questions just because I cobbled them together in the last 35 seconds. Yes guy, no guy. This edition of the Leafs has the least amount of negatives of any of its predecessors.
I'll go with the no guy on that. I mean, we just talked about a big one. The special teams problem on the penalty kill is a problem. That bothers me coming into the playoffs in a big way. The fact that the power play has struggled a little bit, although it has scored, they're 4 for the last 25, a goal in each of the last 3 games for the power play, but had been struggling of late. So I'm a little concerned about the special teams. So I'm hesitant to say that this has the least negatives. I'm going to go no guy. How about you?
I'm going to say yes guy. I mean, obviously that's a negative to be concerned about, but it's not like there's a long list. There might have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, and some people were let down by the trade deadline, but you can see that Edmondson's value is pretty good. And the different looks up front, continue to impress me. And, you know, I don't know how this plays out, but there's a lot more weapons there and a lot more different ways to fight through situations than in my opinion, they've ever had. So I'm going to say yes guy to it. The least amount of negatives for me. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yes guy, no guy. TJ Brody's experience in the press box for the past 2 games in which he's been a healthy scratch will be just the recipe to bring a rejuvenated, recalibrated Brody back to the ice tonight.
I'm going to say yes guy to that. I think it's something that there was always a connotation before when you didn't dress or got put on waivers or sent down. At least have figured out a way how to do this without dragging the player through mud, if you will. So he did a reset. I don't know exactly what the problem was, and that's for people in the inner circle to know that. But he did a reset, and the hope is that that's what he needed. And obviously they did a nice job with Samsonov earlier. So I'm going to say that it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I think he really did need some time away. He was definitely showing signs of being a little worn down. They got to hope that this is what he needed, that this is a recipe. It'll be a lot more concerning if he comes back and shows the same symptoms he was displaying in the lead up to that sit down. But I like the move, and I'm sure the coaching staff hopes the move was correct.
So let's cut to the scene last night when Samsonov goes down and stretches whatever. And in a normal situation, certainly in years gone by, you'd throw your hands up and go, well, there goes the whole season. But last night, you looked at the bench and realized that Joseph Woll was on his way to Carolina and Martin Jones was there. And there was obviously there was concern, but there was some relief, understanding that we've already seen Martin Jones. So long story short, the question is, stroke of genius that the Leafs are carrying 3 goalies.
Oh, it's a big yes guy. I mean, it comes at a cost, obviously. It limits your options in some other ways. But, look, we heard it yesterday, Sheldon Keefe talking about how when it comes down to the final 12 games here, it's going to be a split between Woll and Samsonov. And he also didn't want Martin Jones to be forgotten. You mentioned Martin Jones as a factor in there because, to your point, like, all it takes is one injury, one tweak of a groin, and suddenly Martin Jones is a factor. Suddenly Martin Jones is a guy you're going to have to rely on. And they know the peace of mind knowing that when they had to rely on Martin Jones this year, he was there for them and he did his job as a very good professional goaltender who held down the fort as both Joseph Woll and Ilya Samsonov were unavailable. That is a great thing to have on your roster.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yes guy, no guy, Jim. With the penalty kill struggling, to me, there is one player on this team that could help it, that hasn't contributed much to it, especially of late. That player is Austin Matthews, who many people will tell you is one of the best defensive forwards on the planet, with Marner and Yarncroc, 2 penalty-killing stalwarts out of the lineup. Yes guy, no guy, that they should work Matthews into the penalty kill rotation a little more than they do.
Yes, they should. I'm going to say yes, guy, to that. And also they should invest in some Kevlar so he doesn't break anything blocking his shots. But
exactly.
Yeah, but yes, guy, they should. Just because he could just add more domination to the game. So that's kind of a succinct yes, guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of perplexed that they haven't gone to this weapon just yet. Now, I'm sure it has a lot to do with your point about the Kevlar and how, we don't need a puck going off this guy's ankle at the wrong time and shattering our season along with however many bones. I agree with that completely. Yeah. But I do think, look, he's got such skill at stripping pucks, putting pressure on opposing offensive players that I think he would be a weapon. And I think when push comes to shove, they're going to have to use it.
Okay, yes guy, no guy. Again, a crafted question to elicit a positive response, maybe. Yes guy, no guy. Roster versatility and flexibility is the best the Leafs have had in quite some time.
Yes, guy. They're showing that. I mean, they're showing it before our very eyes here. And, we did question a lot of this season. We've questioned the depth, and as we've been pointing out here, the depth has been shining of late. Like last night, what was the story out of Edmonton? The story out of Edmonton was the Oilers aren't deep enough to deal with the depth of the Maple Leafs. I'm not sure we would have seen that coming at certain times this season when the likes of, Max Domi struggled and Bertuzzi struggled, and heck, Bertuzzi was out last night. And we hadn't heard of Bobby McMahon, getting a contract extension with an explosion of goal scoring, and we hadn't seen, the emergence of Pontus Holmberg and having the ability to score a couple of goals like he did last night. I think, it's a big change. It's a big shift in the way you look at this team and the sort of the veracity of their 4-line deployment. And I think it's showing some real substance in a way that is very tantalizing.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, guy, no guy. We have Brody and Lyubushkin coming back into the lineup tonight. Yes, guy, no guy. You're a little bit trepidatious about this because why mess with a good thing when Riley McCabe, Edmondson, Liljegren, Benoit, Timmins worked very well against Edmonton? Why disrupt the apple cart with 2 additions? Yes guy, no guy. Maybe they should have just stuck with the 6 that worked last night.
No guy, because it's back-to-back. It's less than 24 hours, and I don't know who's coming out. I would suspect it might be Benoit and Timmins, and I just think that, you have the depth, you use it, you get different looks, and maybe some energy's added back there just because of the two games in less than 24 hours. So mine's a firm no guy to that. How about you?
Yeah, I'm a no guy too. I was sort of doing it to be a little bit provocative. I do think, look, we've seen more than once Sheldon Keefe doesn't like to upset the apple cart, doesn't like to change a winning lineup, but he's also a guy who has changed winning lineups. And to your point about the back-to-back, I completely agree. There's no doubt in my mind that Lyubushkin's going to be back in this lineup. I mean, he's going to be a stalwart. He will be a game one starter in the playoffs. I mean, the way Brody played in the lead up to sitting down for a couple of games, there were definitely people asking the question about whether he would be in the Maple Leafs plans, even though I think his career resume puts him there. So, yeah, for those two reasons alone, you got to get those guys back in there eventually. And tonight on the second leg of a back-to-back makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so I'm not going to do the full lineup, but I'm going to tip up my hand here. Brody McCabe is one pairing. Riley Lyubushkin is another. So that's a bit of an adjustment from what we've seen, but it's a return to familiar pairings. And what else? Bertuzzi's back on the top line. So we'll get into all that at the top of the hour. Go right through the lineup for you. Yes guy, no guy. This blue line, regardless of who's playing, any one of the 8, is much better than you ever thought it could be.
Oh, yes, guy. I mean, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Brad Treliving started the season. I think he was being a bit disingenuous when he, took the microphone at the preseason press conference and called this blue line underrated. I think a lot of people snickered and said, "Are you serious, buddy? Like you're joking us, right?" But you know what? Now that they've added, especially, and look, this may be a little bit of recency bias talking after a great game last night against the Oilers, and there may be a more fulsome evaluation down the road here. But in the moment here, it does look like there is more there than we ever would have imagined to begin the year, especially with the way Edmondson played last night, earning that player of the game belt, with the way Benoit has come in, a guy that most Leaf fans would not have heard of before this season, certainly didn't know him as intimately as they know him now. And then the fact that, even though Brody has struggled, they've been able to hold down the fort. I think it says a lot about the options and the versatility and the depth that they have back there. And they're going to need it. As they always say, that you can't have too many defensemen, Jim.
Well, look, let's close off yes guy, no guy, and let's talk about that blue line. And a lot of it is based on last night's performance by Edmondson. But when you watched him last night, you realize that on a yearly basis they try to add size and some beef back there to sort of add some meanness to the blue line, and they have over the years. But when you watched him, I do go back to Jake Muzzin, what he adds, and nobody knows what will happen in the offseason, but he's legitimate in that this is what he does. It's not on a short time period. If the Leafs don't sign him, he's going to do that somewhere else. And so when you look at his performance last night, you can project this forward and think that, well, maybe, this is an audition for him and the Leafs can find a way. And if they do, they don't have to worry about that much any longer.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of the way everybody felt about Luke Schenn by the end of last year's playoff run. And certainly after the win over Tampa, where he was being heralded as a glue guy in the dressing room and obviously a stalwart in front of the net, allowing Morgan Riley to do Morgan Riley things while he took care of the violence and defense around the Toronto net and clearing out bodies and just being a great veteran who knows where to stand. So I think Edmondson's a reasonable facsimile of Luke Schenn in that very situation. And just like Luke Schenn, there's a chance you could lose him because he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. I know the Maple Leaf team would have loved to keep Luke Schenn. I know Leaf fans would love to have Luke Schenn stick around, and I'm sure they're going to start to feel the same way about Joel Edmondson if he continues to play like he did last night.
Well, he's probably going to walk into a 4 or 5 year contract, whether it's here or there. It doesn't really matter, but there's a lot more miles left on his body than Luke Schenn or any of the other guys they brought in, but we'll see where it goes. We'll set up the opening face-off for you next. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, we can expect more thunderstorms as the evening approaches, and then overnight... Oh, hold on. Yeah, can I get 2 number 6s with a side of curly fries? Hold the onions, please. Yeah.
Harold, are you in the drive-thru right now?
Jim, no one listens to this. Oh, thank you. Yep, great.
Weather reports don't matter when you drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Sandra and Kabir are celebrating 50 years of marriage by turning their boring bedroom into a spicy one. Oh, my. Alpine Credit sent a super strength hero to help with a home renovation loan. New floors, windows, a heart-shaped button that plays this tune. Okay, I think that's quite enough. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. District license 12616.
Let's get jerseys. Let's get jerseys.
Right now, become a Tangerine client with a savings account, and you could get a free Raptors jersey.
We want jerseys.
Finally, a savings account worth cheering for.
Jerseys. Jerseys.
Find out how to score a jersey at tangerine.ca/Raptors. Tangerine. That's forward banking. Available to new clients who open and fund an eligible account while supplies last. Conditions apply.
Hi, Anthony Longo here. At Longo's, we put as much care into our products as you do into family meals. So this Easter, we recommend our AAA boneless strip loin roasts and steaks, naturally aged for at least 21 days, so you're getting the most tender beef around. You'll see why 68 years in the biz makes us Ontario's favorite grocery store. And just in time for Easter, these top-selling AAA roasts and steaks are an unbelievable 30% off. For quality that meets your family standards, trust ours, Longo's.
It's a lot to take in. Injuries and illness providing different looks for the Leafs. The new looks are paying off. Big win against Edmonton last night, but a week ago at home to the Canes, opportunity knocked, and the Leafs didn't answer. 2 blown leads and a shootout loss to Carolina. Will that turn around tonight? Well, let's find out. Molson Canadian Leafs hockey starts now.
Yes, Bertuzzi will be back in today.
It's time for Molson Canadian Leafs hockey on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
Welcome to Molson Canadian Leafs hockey. Jim Taddy, Dave Feschuk from the Toronto Star with you. Joe Bowen and Jimmy Rouse standing by, getting their accounts and descriptions all in order. The starting lineup is brought to you by Molson. Whether it's Canadian, Ultra, Export, or Excel, there's a Molson with your name on it. And here are the lines tonight. Bertuzzi goes back in and plays with Matthews and Domi. McMahon, Tavares, and Nylander, same as last night. Nyes drops down, plays with Holmberg and Robertson. And Dewar, Kampf, and Gregor is another line that carries over from last night. The blue line pairings are Brody McCabe, Riley Labushkin, and Edmondson and Liljegren, and Wall starts in goal. Dave, quick thought on that. What do you make of it?
I think it's going to be a really good night for Joseph Wall. He's got to get back on track here, reassert his excellence, because we saw excellence from this young man before he missed most of 3 months with that high ankle sprain. Sheldon Keefe has confirmed that the plan from here on out is for he and Ilya Samsonov have to split time down the stretch, and I think that's a great recipe for Wall to get back on track, and that starts tonight.
Okay, let's hear from Coach Keefe on the lineup changes.
Yes, Bertuzzi will be back in today. And then on defense, Brody and Labushkin will both go in today. I figure with back-to-back, it only makes sense to utilize our depth, not unlike we did in the earlier back-to-back. So it's a good chance to get Brody and Labushkin back involved.
What's the message for Brody? I know we've talked about him over the last couple of days about it being a reset for him, but what are you kind of looking for from him tonight?
Just go out and play. I mean, a chance to watch our team competing like a night like last night is a good example of what we're looking for from all of our defense in terms of being competitive below our circles and help us move the puck up the ice. But he knows how to play the game, so we're just hopeful that a little bit of time away it gives them a chance to kind of reboot and get back out and compete against a tough team here today. But as I say, it's a chance for us to continue to utilize our depth, which I think is extremely important. And the more injuries and illnesses and things that we've faced, the more we've learned about the value of our depth, and a chance for us to utilize that again tonight.
What's the biggest thing your team did last night that you'd love to replicate night in, night out?
I'd say just the attitude that we played with, the assertiveness, defensively especially, just the way that we closed, the physicality, the way we protected our net. All things that, over the last couple of months when we've played at our best, those have been on display.
Coach Keefe set for the Canes in Carolina. When you look at that Carolina team, Dave, that blue line is stingy. They get you in the neutral zone. Freddie Anderson in goal tonight. Big challenge.
Oh, it's a huge challenge. I mean, this Carolina team, Jim, 7 of 9 wins since the trade deadline. Of course, they picked up Jake Gensel, who's had, 2 goals and 9 assists in those 7 games after a pretty lengthy absence that he had suffered. Evgeny Kuznetsov is also new in town. He's had a couple of goals in 9 games since the trade deadline. So they're a rejuvenated, rolling team right now. Freddie Anderson's back and playing solid. So, yeah, the best shot suppression, one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. A big task for the Maple Leafs here tonight.
The opening faceoff is next. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app of the Leafs Radio Network.
It's tournament time on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Lock into Channel 82 throughout the day for wall-to-wall tourney coverage. From live listen-ins to Westwood One's call.
UConn has its 5th national championship.
To instant reaction with you on the phone.
The seeding this year has been a mitigated disaster.
Mad Dog Sports Radio is your home for the upsets, the buzzer beaters, and non-stop NCAA tournament coverage. It's all on Channel 82 or anytime on the all-new Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think have come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate
with Scott Laughlin and Gord Steller.
Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
The Point
with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point
with Boomer Gordon.
1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91.
And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate
with Scott Laughlin and Gord Steller.
Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play.
Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the SiriusXM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
For the Edmonton Oilers, the Leafs don't have much time to recoup. They're down in Carolina as they tangle with the Hurricanes in an early start against the Canes, and the starting goaltenders Joseph Woll, 10-7-1 this season, facing the Canes for the very first time. And a familiar face at the other end as the puck is dropped is Frederik Andersen, who gets the call for the Hurricanes, who's been outstanding since coming back from a lengthy injury. Played off the boards, the Leafs moving from left to right as they knock it down into the Kane zone, and it's cleared out at center ice, and a bouncing puck is now brought to the Leaf blue line and in. Liljegren turned around a little bit. McMahon got back to help him out, but around back of the net, Seth Jarvis with it. Jarvis sending it around back of the net for Aho. He couldn't hook up there with Gunsel, and the Maple Leafs get it up on the left wing and out, but out of the reach of Tavares. Now the Leafs work in with McMahon on the left wing with a shot, and he fired it wide on the near post, and all the way down the ice. It's going to carry him into Leaf territory. TJ Brodie back into the lineup. A number of changes for the Maple Leafs. Bertuzzi back from being felled by illness. Brodie's back into the lineup as well. As the puck comes to the side of the Leaf goal, a centering pass comes back to the point and a drive, scores! Brady Shea from the point lifts it over the glove, and another early goal surrendered by the Maple Leafs, this time in Carolina.
This is all off the forecheck for the Carolina Hurricanes. And unfortunately for TJ Brodie back in the lineup after 2 games, it's going to start with a minus here. As Brodie threw it around behind the net, but it was actually Jake McCabe that tried a cute little back pass that got picked off and eventually thrown out to the high slot. And there was a wall of white and blue in front of Joseph Woll, who couldn't pick it up. Bertuzzi was one of the screens. Defenseman was the other, and the Carolina Hurricanes, on their second shot of the game, have a 1-0 lead.
And an icing call here against Toronto is going to bring it all the way back into the Leaf zone as well.
Remember, the Leafs were up 3-0 and 4-2 on the Carolina Hurricanes at home. They were up 4-2 late. Carolina, much like Edmonton last night, pulled the goalie, score a couple of late goals to send it to overtime before winning it in a shootout.
Face-off will be in the circle to the left of Woll. And the puck is dropped, and a quick shot right off the face-off is taken off the shoulder by Woll as the Hurricanes go back into their own zone to retrieve the loose puck. Brady Shea back of the net, gets it up on the right wing boards and in on the right wing, trying to work in against Riley. They do with a drop pass. Here is Svechnikov around back of the net. Over on the near side now for Necas. Necas works it back to the point. Swept around the boards. It's going to go back of the net. Good hit in there by Noah Gregor to free it up from Svechnikov. And now the Leafs trying to just get it out at center ice, and they have. Kuznetsov up on the right side, drops it off now for Necas, and a shot directed wide of the net by Woll. Another shot goes into the glove of Woll, and he's going to hang on as the Hurricanes have started quickly here and lead it by a score of 1-0.
We knew the Edmonton Oilers were on a roll coming into Toronto last night. Carolina 5-0-1 in their last 6. But in their last 19 games, just 3 regulation losses, 14-3 and 2. The Leafs do not get a break as far as the schedule goes, but Carolina, a lot like Toronto, it looks like they're pretty much cemented in second place in their division, the Metropolitan Division.
Goal came at 1:05 of the period as Stahl and Martinuk assisted on the goal. And it's the 12th of the season for Brady Shea as it's brought out at center ice, and the Leafs get it down into the offensive zone. Robertson into the forecheck. Around back of the net goes Pontus Holmberg. Got it out in front and a shot. Anderson didn't see it. And then a backhand by Robertson hit Anderson, he still didn't see that shot either. So
Right idea, though, by Robertson. If he banks that in at a proper angle, it's 1-1.
Played back into the Toronto zone, and Nyes gets it around back of the net for Liljegren. Off the boards for Robertson. Robertson had to dive to secure the puck and keep it alive, and Edmondson now starts out. Edmondson ahead, deflects, and it's gone out of play into the benches. And a face-off coming in the neutral zone. Frederik Andersen, that was more good luck than good management.
Yeah, it was Pontus Holmberg on the wraparound, got it to the blue paint. Matthew Nyes found it first, had to reach for it with his back to the Carolina net, threw a backhand off the left pad of Anderson, but he never saw it. And then Robertson from below the goal line tried to bank it in off the Carolina goaltender, and it wouldn't go.
McCabe getting it on the boards for Nylander. He gets it high to center ice. That could have been a high stick making contact, but the Leafs carry on. Here's Nylander into the zone with a shot. That went off a leg and harmlessly into the near boards. Knocked out at center ice again by Carolina. An early goal makes it 1-0 Hurricanes. McMahon up on the right side for Tavares. Backhanded into the zone, and Nylander looking to reach the 40-goal plateau for the first time in his career. Trying to get it around back of the net. Nylander centers in front. A bouncing puck in front of the goal. They still whack away at it. And it's finally cleared by the Hurricanes out and down the ice, but it won't be enough for icing. Riley goes back for it. Pretty good scramble there for the Maple Leafs, but they really couldn't get a great shot at the net. Now Bertuzzi back to the point to Riley. To Matthews. Matthews sends it towards the front of the goal. Bertuzzi can't get to it. And it's Teravainen getting it ahead at center for Stahl. Stahl in over the line, and a great back check there by Riley to deflect the centering pass. And that was Shea going to the net again. Riley, a pass ahead at center for Matthews. Up on the right side, Bertuzzi drops for Matthews. Matthews into the corner. The referee getting in the way of everything there as the puck is played along the boards. Cut off there by the Leafs. Sent around the boards in an attempt to find Matthews. And now working back to retrieve the puck is Kuznetsov. Former Capital comes to center. Kuznetsov in on the left wing. Slows up. Kuznetsov with it back towards the blue line. Backhands into the far corner. Got a return pass to the blue line. That was deflected, and it's gone up into the screen and out of play. And I don't think Wall had any idea where that was. Neither did Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Well, I think it was a pretty welcome whistle for Joseph Wall, wasn't it? With the game last night against Edmonton, the Leafs are done now against the Western Conference.
How'd they do?
How did they do? 24 wins, 6 losses, 2 overtime losses.
And, of course, dominated all of the weaker teams.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
Well, I mean, we'll take San Jose, the sweep over San Jose, Anaheim, and Arizona this year.
Okay.
But could not beat the 31st best team in the NHL, the Chicago Blackhawks.
Lost twice.
0-1-1 against Chicago.
Isn't that something?
Here's another thing. With the Leafs come into this game, 21 wins on the road this year. That's too shy of a franchise record that they've hit.
Oh, a hit from behind on McCabe. And that's drawing a crowd over on the far boards. There's going to be a penalty.
It'll be interesting to see what the call is, if it's only going to be a 2-minute boarding penalty.
McCabe is back up on his skates. But the Leafs are going to go to the power play, brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Get more value out of every kilometer in a Subaru, starting with award-winning safety at your local Subaru dealer. McCabe seems to be all right.
Yeah, it looks like he's found the number of the truck that hit him as well. And that was Svechnikov.
Yep.
And then Kuznetsov tried to come in and say something, and
number 37, Carolina's got a minor for boarding.
All right, so it's only going to be 2. But, boy, that could have been dangerous.
Well, Jake McCabe's used to getting hit. He leads the league as far as defensemen being hit.
Well, we've called him the Scott Sterling of NHL defensemen. As we've said before, you can Google Scott Sterling soccer goalie.
Soccer goalie performance for the ages.
And that is Jake McCabe.
Yep. Well, it was nice to see the Maple Leaf defense, Benoit, Edmondson, McCabe, initiating the physicality of the game last night.
Can throw in Max Domi as well.
Yep.
Got into a pretty spirited scrap.
So the first power play for either team. Slavin tried to get it out on the backhand. That didn't clear initially, but now it does. And a 2-on-1 break here for the Hurricanes, and it went over top of the goal. Back comes Tavares to the line. Right wing side, Nylander. Walks to the middle. Dishes off to Domi. Domi with a shot that was deflected wide of the Carolina goal, and it is going to be punched out and down the ice by Carolina. Their specialty teams are among the best in the league. Second in penalty kill, third in power play proficiency.
Well, they only killed off 3 of 6 against Washington, and that broke a 27 for 27 game stretch over 9 games.
Here's Matthews. Dropping for Nylander. In on the left wing for Tavares. Tavares works out of the corner with it. Got it back to the point. Then a shot was blockered away by Anderson. Chopped at and cleared by Carolina. And the Leafs will get a change going with a minute to go in the power play. Morgan Rielly coming out of his own end. Got it up on the left wing. Dropped back by Nyes. Carried through center ice now by McMahon. McMahon into the corner. Tried to drop it to Nyes, but he put it right onto a Carolina stick. Brought back the other way now for Drury. He couldn't get it over the line cleanly. And the Leafs have it secured with Robertson at the side of the goal, finding Morgan Rielly. Rielly starts out of his own zone. Drops for Robertson. Robertson with speed hits the line, tries to flip it into the corner to himself, but Burns is there first, and he'll get it out into center ice. Leafs have it again and quickly trying to bring it back in. It bounces to the line, wrapped in by Robertson, and around back of the net it comes into the near corner. Trying to clear it was Slavin, and he does. And it's out and down the ice, and the penalty has just 6 seconds left in it.
It's an aggressive penalty kill, isn't it? The Leafs don't have time to kind of sit back and set up in the offensive zone.
And the penalty has expired as it is launched in by McCabe on a bounce that Anderson had to watch carefully. Now a rink-wide feed for Kotkaniemi. Former Canadian gets it in on the right side. Now into the slot. Back to Kotkaniemi. Centering pass knocked away at the point, though. A drive. That was blockered away as Chatfield let it go. Along the boards, the Leafs tipping it to the line and out. And it's down into Carolina territory, and Chatfield goes back to recover. Ian Burns of the real good beard for the Carolina Hurricanes. And across the line, it goes into the near corner. Played around back of the net. McCabe got a piece of his man. So did Camp. It comes to the point, though. Orlov to the right wing side, and a drive went wide. Orlov traps at the near point. Back into the slot once more. Walking the line is Slavin. Dropped it off again, looking for a pass into the slot. Shea looks for a return feed. It comes back along the left wing side, kept alive by Nakash. Into the far side now. Still working with it. No power play, but the Leafs are a tired group out here.
Delayed penalty, I think, coming up.
Oh, you're right. Yep, delayed penalty against Toronto. An extra attacker on the ice for Carolina. And a wrist shot deflected wide of the net will be touched now by McCabe. And who's getting the penalty?
David Camp going to be the one as wow. If this is a hook, hard to believe that's going to be the same as a boarding penalty on Jake McCabe earlier. Wow.
Okay, so the Leafs will be a man short when we return. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Their powerful voices transcend language. Latinas in Music, a Sirius XM channel featuring the trailblazing women shaping global culture through song. Latinas in Music. Throughout Women's History Month on the all-new Sirius XM app. And now for a limited time on Channel 107.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter Miami game.
Messi, up, overhand!
And get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Penalty Kill brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. Joel Edmondson, who we sang the praises of last night, received the belt from the players as the player of the game.
Yep, guy from the got it the game before gets to give it out. Max Domi got it. 4-assist win in Washington. And he handed it off to Joel Edmondson.
Shot from the point, deflected right on. The rebound in front of the goal. Cleared and still scrambling and held finally.
Penalty shot. They're going to say that a Leaf loved it in the goal crease. It might have been Edmondson.
Well, we better have identified the officials. They've already had a... that was Frederick Lecue. Carter Sandlak is the other referee. Bevan Mills and Killen McNamara. So who is taking the penalty shot? They've got the power play out there. Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? It's the right call.
Yep.
Joel Edmondson. I mean, it's pretty difficult to be patient when your nose is about 6 inches from the ice. The puck's there.
And the goal line is another foot away.
And is this Jake Gensel is going to take?
Yep.
Remember, he scored in a shootout.
In the shootout and won the game. Here's Gensel. Works to the left wing side. Cuts to the middle of the ice. Deeks backhand. Stopped by Wall.
Huge save for now, anyway, for Joseph Wall. Still 1:46 to go in the Carolina power play. But Gensel, left-handed shot, starts on the left side. And then he tried to do that little kick move to freeze Wall. Wall didn't bite. Then he tried to go forehand, backhand, and Wall simply stayed with him, pushing to his left.
So 1:46 left in the power play. Talk about getting a bonus on the power play.
Oh.
And the draw is scrummed but controlled by Carolina. Near side, Aho. Sebastian Aho tries to center. That was blocked. It comes back to Burns at the point. Burns to the far side, looking for Gunsel in front of the net. Goes back to Aho. Back to Burns. Burns with a shot. That's blocked. There's a rebound. And it is not cleared as Bobby McMahon had a chance to get to the puck but couldn't make a contact to get it out over the line. Controlled again by Carolina. Shot right on, stopped by Wall. And then Gunsel was flattened in front of the net as the Leafs are able to send it out and down the ice.
Yeah, that was Jake McCabe that was able to protect Joseph Wall before the Leafs were able to clear the rebound.
Aho after a loose puck into the left wing corner with Brody. In along the boards. Brody got it freed up. Tries to play it around back of the net. That was blocked. It comes back around to the far side. Gunsel gets it back to the point. It comes back to Aho on the left side. Into the slot area for Burns. Behind the back for Aho didn't work cleanly. But Aho has it again, only to lose it to Nylander. And now it is grabbed off. And Dewar will bring it slowly into the zone. The rest of the Leafs have headed for the bench, but a pass in on the left wing for Matthews just failed to connect. Matthews outfights two players for the puck and then got a shot away that Anderson was able to take on the chest and hold on.
24 seconds to go in the Carolina Hurricanes power play, their first of the night. And the Leafs, I mean, it's kind of amazing. The Leafs have put up as many points in the standings as they have with the penalty kill the way it's been. Well, even in the power play. They've killed off just 16 of 25 in their last 7 games. Now, some of those have been shorthanded, plus the goalie pulled. Got in the Edmonton game last night, and Carolina did it when they were in Toronto a week ago.
Out come the Hurricanes. Through center ice, Kuznetsov hits the blue line, got it into the right wing corner. Joel Edmondson, his former teammate, took a run at him. Puck comes back now for Necas. Onto the far side once more, Kuznetsov. Nachas gets it back with a shot, hit the goalpost. There's a rebound back of the goal. Swallowed up by Wall.
I don't know how this stays out. This got through Joseph Wall. And there's a Carolina player that was wide open in behind him, and you were just waiting to see the goal celebration coming.
I think it was Nachas who was in behind him, or was it?
Might have been Nason, yeah.
Yeah. It's Stefan Nason who had the chance, but couldn't find it. Couldn't get the handle on it. Still 1-0. Penalty over. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The NHL's premier esports event is back with the EA Sports NHL 24 World Championship. It's a whole new season of tournaments, events, and prizes. Catch the action as the best gamers in the world compete to win the EA Sports NHL 24 World Championship. Tune in to twitch.tv/NHL to catch the exciting end of the NHL esports season.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
I just helped Tom with a business loan. He needed to soup up his mechanic shop. Not to brag, but I once modified a car to match my ultra speed. It went so fast, it broke the speed of sound. At least no one was inside. I hope no one was inside. I guess I'll just stick to approving business loans.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuss shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
1-0 in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes, and Joseph Wall, after giving up the goal to Brady Shea, has been outstanding.
A little bit fortunate as well with the last one being tucked back into him off the goal line. Of course, Joel Edmondson helped him out temporarily by putting his hand over the puck in the crease.
Gunsel has been a nice addition to this lineup for Carolina. 7 games. He's got 11 points, 2 of which are goals. Tavares banking it back at the net for Morgan Riley. He gets it out at center. Nylander starting away, then circles back. Nylander with a little move to gain center ice. Splits 2 players. In on the left wing for McMahon. He couldn't handle the puck. Back around the boards. Nylander unable to get to it. A shot, though, from the point was kicked away by Anderson. Long lead pass. Gunsel in behind everybody, and Wall gets a blocking glove in front of that.
I think Gunsel was calling for a slashing penalty, but what a pass that was out of the Carolina zone.
Orlov playing it around the boards.
Criticize the Leafs for their coverage, but wow.
Here's Matthews in on the left wing with a shot. Anderson stopped that. Puck knocked high in the air, back of the goal, stolen by Domi. Couldn't get it in front for Bertuzzi. Now Matthews and Domi. Back to Matthews in front of the net. Bertuzzi, and it bounced over his stick before he could deliver a backhand. Now Domi with it again to Matthews in front. Comes back to the blue line. Brody to McCabe. McCabe along the boards. Someone's stick is broken. I'm not sure which player. No, I don't. Everybody seems to have a cue.
They got it back now.
I guess so. It's cleared out at center ice anyway, and McCabe has to go back for it. Now TJ Brody hits the line. Plays it in for Domi on the right wing. Domi pulls up, still with it. In along the boards for Matthews. He tried to center. It goes to left wing side for Nyes. Nyes back of the goal. Stops up. Got it in front. No one home. Teravainen will bring it out at center and get it to the Leaf blue line. Leafs counter again. Right back in they come. Pontus Holmberg trying to drive. Goes around back of the goal. Cut in tight there to the net. Holmberg with it again, got it back again to the point, but no one there as the Leafs were changing, and is back out at center ice. Pass ahead at center, broken up again, brought in on the right wing side, a drop pass now, and a pass in front, pad save made by Wall, and a whistle, and a slashing call.
Well, Leafs had the first power play. Carolina gets the next 2, plus a penalty shot for good measure. As And it's going to be Pontus Holmberg is going to get the penalty for a slash. I mean, Gensel wanted one earlier on Liljegren for the same thing, and jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
That's two.
Yeah, that's two. You're right. So Holmberg in the penalty box at 12:50, and the Leafs again on the penalty kill. Brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. So the power play working here now for Carolina, but a pass off a stick caroms up into the crowd and out of play.
Leafs have been shorthanded 19 times in the 5 games coming into this one. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
4 a night. They've already got 2 here in this game. They did have the advantage, 5-1 in power plays over Washington.
Leafs win the draw and ice the puck. Carolina going back with a minute 38 to go in the power play. Burns circles out, then drops the puck back. Aho brings it to the line, got it in on the right wing, looking for Seth Jarvis. That didn't connect. Now Jarvis back to the point to Burns. Looking for Gunsel. It comes to Jarvis and it's launched high back at the net. Played over on the right wing side for Svechnikov. Svechnikov gets it back to Aho. Aho on the left wing side. Bank pass back to Burns. Burns to Aho. Svechnikov in the slot, but it comes back to Burns again. Near boards, back into Aho. Now into the slot. Now to Aho, centering pass, and it goes in off of McCabe, I believe. A centering pass by Aho, and Jake McCabe is the unfortunate person to be standing in the wrong spot at the right time.
It was a pass attempted from the left wing circle to the right. Sebastian Aho's going to get it, and it will be his 31st of the season and his 8th power play goal. But yeah, Aho tries to go dot to dot, and it banks off Jake McCabe, just the inside of his left leg, and then 2 hops short side on Joseph Woll. His Woll just started to push to his left. How you like to be Joseph Woll? And I mean, for Jake McCabe now, he had the turnover on the first goal, and now has the second one bounce in off him.
So the Leafs have dug themselves a hole here in the first period.
Well, somebody's giving them a shovel, too.
Yeah. Played down into the Toronto zone. Matthews unable to come up with it, but Morgan Rielly does. But his bank pass for Bertuzzi didn't connect. Kept alive now by Carolina. Down into the corner for Martinook, around back of the net. Another player goes sprawling in the corner. That was Stahl, looking to draw another penalty that didn't happen. And it's cleared over the glass and goes out of play with 5:27 left to play here in the first period. And the Leafs down 2-0 on a power play goal by Sebastian Aho. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Sirius XM NFL Radio is broadcasting live from the 2024 NFL Annual League Meeting in Orlando, Florida. Coverage begins Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern as we break down the latest rules changes and sit down with owners, coaches, and executives as they continue to build their rosters for the 2024 season.
We got our hands full, but we should be a better team.
There's a story for every team, and it unfolds right here on Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, overhead!
and get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Joe Bone along with Jim Ralph. Back here with the Leafs trailing 2-0. Jim Taddy and Dave Feschuk will be along with our first period intermission. Owen Hall and Cameron Moore running the operation for us as the Leafs trail 2-0. Tavares gets it ahead for Nylander, who breaks through, but his shot was partially deflected before it got to the net. Cleared in on the left wing boards. McMahon got it around to the near side. Lyubushkin pinches down the wall. Trapped there by Tavares. Tavares right at the blue line. Sends it around back of the net. McMahon trying to play it in front of the net. Lost his balance and may have been hooked. And now Carolina will shoot it back into the Toronto zone. 2-0 Hurricanes. As a centering pass, trying to find his man Slavin in front of the net, but it was deflected out at center. Tavares for Lyubushkin to Nylander. Set in deep, but Lyubushkin thinks better of staying down there and gets back into his defensive posture. Out trying to catch up to one of the Hurricanes and is able to do it to knock it away there from Jacob Slavin. And now the Leafs will play it deep into Carolina territory. Frederik Andersen has not really been tested, has he? And we get an offside at the blue line, but in as a Leaf, 149 victories for Frederik Andersen, 2.79 goals against average, .914 save percentage. But he had a pretty serious health issue going, but has come back.
Yeah, blood clots, the problem for Freddie Andersen. He was out from November 4th to March 7th.
But he's been excellent since returning. And there was never any discussion about Frederik Andersen's ability. It was his health and his ability to stay in the net. Martinuk sends it deep into the Toronto zone. Edmondson playing it back at the net for Liljegren. A nice little touch pass to Spring Bertuzzi. He gets it up on the left wing, and it's going to be launched down into Carolina territory by Edmondson. Domi into the forecheck, but the pass finds Jordan Stahl, and the Thunder Bay native plays it down into the Toronto zone. P.J. Brody around back of the net. To McCabe, ahead at center. Dewar goes after the puck in the corner. Camp is in there as well. Dewar trying to kick it free. Camp does. Camp right in front of the official was tripped, and he waved it off. Well, good, he saw it. That's important. At least he saw the trip and then waved it off. So that's good. I feel better about that already.
That like one of those touch-up offsides.
Exactly.
It was a hook, but it's not.
No, not now. Kuznetsov now in on a shot. That was stopped. The rebound. Owen Wall goes pillar to post to catch that.
Carolina already up to 15 shots on goal in the period. And this one comes off the rush as Kuznetsov leaves it for Natchez. And
the rebound went to Svechnikov, and he is robbed by Wall.
This is one of those, very similar. Remember, he made about 3 of those in the game that Joseph Wall was injured in Ottawa. But 15-7 the shots. The Leafs might be fortunate. It's only 2-0.
Holmberg facing off with Kotkaniemi and won the draw. Riley playing it off the boards, and it's going to go out and down the ice. Icing call here against Toronto.
The good thing is we often complain about the officiating with the makeup calls. There hasn't been one yet.
No, not yet. Yeah. No. I just found that part very comical. Right in front of them, there's a trip, and no, we're going to wave it off.
So you know I saw it.
I saw it. Just so you know I saw it, but I didn't think it was a trip. It was an accident. So the accident wasn't called, which is good. If we could just get that kind of done all the time, it'd be fine.
Well, especially what we've already seen called. I think that's where you get frustrated.
Down into the corner and back of the net for Riley. He got it ahead off a stick into neutral ice. Robertson couldn't cut it off before Dmitry Orlov got it ahead. And it's cleared back down into Carolina territory. 2:17 to go in the first period. And the Leafs haven't found their legs yet. This is the second of 4 back-to-backs that the Leafs had in the last part of their schedule. They still have 2 more sets of back-to-backs to come. They made a lot of changes in the lineup. Liljegren trying to play it out. Can't get it past the defense. Shot blocked. Robertson is able to knock it down and carry to the red line, and he'll get it the rest of the way into the zone before scampering for the bench. Minute 42 to go in the period. Played out at center ice. Cut off there by Nylander. He had to wait for teammates to get onside to Tavares, and his wrist shot was wide. Back of the net, McMahon. Anderson got knocked over. He's scrambling to get back to his feet, and the shot went wide. Liljegren let it go, and he had the goaltender at his mercy, but he couldn't hit the net. Liljegren sending it around back of the net. Cut off there by the defense and chipped ahead, and another 2-on-1 coming the other way. And over the line, Jarvis to the right wing side for Aho. Into the slot. Gutsel's shot is being deflected by Liljegren up into the screen. That 2-on-1 bogged down as...
Well, Timothy Liljegren was the one that got caught trying to jump down the right wing boards. And Joel Edmondson was the lone man back, but you're right, maybe a bouncing puck bailed the Leafs out. Freddie Anderson got tied up with his own defenseman, Pesce, and then knocked down, but Timothy Liljegren, all he had to do was put it in the upper part of the net.
Point shot deflects into the near boards. Domi knocks it high into the air. Matthews against the wall. And Domi will outlet, and now, or at least Brody getting it up on the right side. Bertuzzi trying to drive the net. He's in! And it rolled off his stick.
Penalty shot?
Burns is getting a penalty.
It's going to be for a hook. He can't believe it. He's saying, we've done way worse than that. How do you call that one?
Don't you wish somebody would actually do that, though? How could you call that? We've been doing a lot worse than that.
And even that, I mean, this is sort of the split second. I think he grabs part of the jersey of Bertuzzi. Burns doesn't like it, obviously, but a pretty important power play for the Leafs. 45 seconds to go in the period.
Brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Get more value out of every kilometer in a Subaru, starting with award-winning safety at your local Subaru dealer. Leafs win the draw. Nylander to Liljegren, back to the blue line, near side for Matthews. Matthews trying to stay away from the checking as it goes into the far corner. Domi helps out. Back to the net for Nylander. Nylander to Domi. Domi into the slot. Back to Domi in the corner. Back of the net for Willie. Nylander looks in front. Matthews trying to find open ice. Puck still there. They try to chip it out in front of the net. Tavares is complaining that he got his stick
flashed out of his hands. But the official comes right in and says there's a face-off over there. Oh, let's take a look at this.
Whoa! Well, it's not slashed out of his hand. It was Slavin broke the stick with a slash.
And Brent
boys
Burns
are having a tough night.
Brent Burns is living in the penalty box saying, I did less than that.
That's right. Leafs win the draw, but just a dozen seconds left in the period. Here's Liljegren into the slot area. Tavares waits and got the shot away, but it was blocked by the traffic in front. And around back of the net, it'll go to the far corner. Domi, with no time left, will not be able to get it in front of the goal.
That was almost comical.
Well, it was comical.
I mean, John Tavares is going, are you kidding? And it's not as if the puck wasn't there.
No.
Anyway, the Leafs will start second period on the power play, but let's see how long that lasts. But definitely for Toronto, Joe, specialty teams, we can talk bad bounces or anything else, but specialty teams have just been horrid in the last 10 to 15 games.
And yet they continue winning because of their 5-on-5 play. At any rate, we'll step aside for Jim Taddy and Dave Feschuk. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Hey folks, Conan O'Brien here. My latest episode of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend features none other than John Bon Jovi. Dove into a lot of topics, we chewed the fat, the highs and lows of rock stardom. They were all my stories about being a rock star, which took about 8 seconds, and then we got onto John Bon Jovi.
Now you've set the bar, and now you have to beat that record every time.
Conan O'Brien Radio, Sirius XM Channel 104, or on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think we've come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, overhand!
And get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this, they got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
In Trail, Carolina, 2-0 after 20 minutes of play. After 20 is brought to you by Subaru. Embrace spring weather with Subaru's all-weather drive event. Visit your local Subaru dealer and book a test drive today. Jim Taddy, Dave Feschuk with you. Dave, the 2 goals the Leafs allowed were self-inflicted at various stages, but the story may be the 3 or 4 that didn't go in.
Well, yeah, tip your hat to Joseph Wall because, see, to your point, like, I'm not blaming Joseph Wall for either of the goals that went in the net. The first one, a very sloppy play by Jake McCabe, sets up the Shea goal through traffic a minute and 6 seconds into this thing, Jim, and I don't think you're going to blame the goaltender on a heavily screened attempt like that right out of the gate when the Leafs make a really ill-advised turnover in their own end. And then the other one, obviously, a power play goal that goes off McCabe and into the net at a strange angle off a Sebastian Aho shot. But, man, Joseph Wall with the diving save with about 3 minutes left there on Svechnikov. He made a number of other great saves. He's been sharp, I would say, and that's a great sign for the Maple Leafs in a period that wasn't so great.
No, not so great. It closed well for the Leafs. They're on a power play and got some time to carry over to the start of the second period if things stay the way they are. There were, I don't think the coaching staff would be happy at all. There were a number of odd man rushes by Carolina that somehow either Morgan Rielly got in the way and deflected or they just couldn't finish off, but they had a lot of opportunities.
Well, you got to be careful against this team. They're a very good strike back team, right? And they catch you sleeping. We saw Jake Gensel go in alone. Jake Gensel had the penalty shot after Joel Edmondson covered the puck in the crease on the first Carolina power play and was stopped by Joseph Wall, another feather in Joseph Wall's cap there. But we saw Gensel later in the period. He goes in alone on a stretch pass that gets Timothy Liljegren sleeping, and it kind of was reminiscent of that play that Sheldon Keefe didn't like earlier in the season when a breakaway got behind Timothy Liljegren, and Keefe called it pee-wee stuff. You got to keep your head up back there because these guys can really come at you hard with those stretch passes and those odd man rushes.
I mean, they've dodged some bullets here. Camp was off for holding at 8:27. The penalty shot happens at 8:41. So just 14 seconds later, the Leafs could have been down on a 5-on-3, and who knows what would have happened there. And they got out of that unscathed, which is lucky for them. I like the way they closed. They seem to, as sort of the physical play amped itself up, they seemed to get into it more, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And look, this is a tough spot for the Leafs. I mean, they're playing the second leg of a back-to-back after a big win against Edmonton last night, less than 24 hours later. Carolina was resting last night at home, so that's a difference here. And that's not to excuse the Leafs. They're 6-4-0 on the second leg of backs-to-backs this year. They've had some really good performances, but that is obviously a detriment to the Maple Leafs. But they have picked it up as the period went on, Jim. You're right. A bit of a bend, don't break thing, because we know they can come back here. They've come back from multiple goals. They've come back from multiple goals to win games 6 different times this year, Jim. They're one of the best comeback teams in this league. So all is not lost by any measure. The 2 goals is not a big deficit for this Maple Leafs team if they can indeed show the intensity that they showed toward the end of that period in the 40 minutes to come.
I totally agree with that. The sample size that we have, though, they did not play as a unit. The 5-man unit seemed disjointed no matter who the 5 were, and they're going to have to work on that. And maybe, if they're able to sneak out a power play goal to start this period, maybe it shifts.
Yeah, that would be huge, obviously. Obviously, so far, not a lot of luck on the power play. Carolina penalty kill is very good. I mean, they are a really good world-class penalty kill. I think Toronto now 0 for 7. Sorry, they were 0 for 7 against the Carolina penalty kill coming in to this game this year. So, and you've yet to score, obviously. So, yeah, that's going to be a challenge, breaking through. Hey, we saw, the Leafs penalty kill there featured Austin Matthews, as we talked about in the pregame. A little bit of Austin Matthews on the penalty kill. Obviously, hey, you give up a power play goal off a body, that happens. But what I didn't like, Jim, was the Nick Robertson turnover in the neutral zone that led to the Holmberg slashing penalty on Svechnikov that set up the Carolina power play that made it 2-0. Yeah, those neutral zone turnovers are, against this team in particular, will come back to haunt you.
Well, they try to create them. I mean, this is a great transition team. So, I mean, that's the last thing you want to do against Carolina, no matter where you're playing, is, turn over the puck several times in a period. Lucky to be down 2-0, quite frankly.
Yeah, you could definitely say lucky. You should definitely be thanking Joseph Wall. And they put a little more pressure on Freddie Anderson toward the end of the period there. But Freddie Anderson hasn't had a lot of heavy lifting so far. And they've got to make it a lot tougher on Freddie Anderson as this game goes on if they want to get back into it.
The event summary paints a different picture. I'm looking at this, and it makes no sense. So just rhyme these stats off. The Leafs have 7 shots on goal, another 9 that didn't get through for 16 attempts. Carolina has 16 shots on goal, another 13 that didn't get through for 29 attempts. Now, that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the Leafs have 3 hits. Carolina didn't throw one. I must have missed that. And Carolina gave the puck away 8 times in the Leafs, too. I did not see that. Did you?
Yeah, the stats keeping in this league is not always the greatest, right? There are a lot of subjective types of stats, hits being one of them. The eye test did not match up with those particular stats. I agree with you. The Leafs, I thought, were guilty of more of the egregious turnovers, especially in the neutral zone that had a lot of pucks and a lot of odd man rushes coming back into the Toronto zone at speed. So definitely not a great statistical sketch there by the event summary, but we saw what we saw, and it improved toward the end of the period for the Maple Leafs, which is what I think Sheldon Keefe is going to want them to build on heading into the period number 2.
Well said. 2-0 Carolina over the Leafs after 20 minutes of play. Shea with his 12th at 1:06, and then Aho with his 31st on a power play at 13:55 as Holmberg was off for slashing on that play. That's where we stand after 20 minutes. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, "Sorry, cash only." Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, "We don't accept foot money here." That's
Thanks,
how he
Harold.
talks. But now
weather
I'm
reports
starving, and I'm
don't matter
looking for
when you
something
drive
to
a
eat.
Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuss shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Today, when it comes to following sports, a basic box score just won't cut it. Get the stats behind the stats with NHL Edge. So you won't just see Makar's time on ice. You'll see where he spent it. You won't just know Matthews scored. You'll know how hard he shot it. And you won't just get OV's shot total. You'll know where he shot it from. Even if they're all from the same place. Know more about every stat, every shift, and every star with NHL Edge.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Ron is a teacher helping bright minds, but this time he needed help. Alpine Credit sent a cosmic superhero with a debt consolidation loan. She conjured a magic book, Debt Consolidation 101. Lesson 1, consolidate debt into one low monthly payment. Lesson 2, nothing. It's a short book. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
Ugh, I need a vacation.
Me too. But where and when?
Like now?
Maybe you're onto something. Let me check Sunwing Vacations.
Yes, sunwing.ca. What? Beach? Please. A last-minute vacay to Cuba starting at $785? Sun, sea, sand, here we come.
With March deals this low, you just gotta say book it and go. Book with your local travel agent or...
Do you love deli meat but are careful about your sodium intake? Try new Schneider's Deli Meat with the delicious taste you've come to expect from Schneider's. Now with 25% less sodium than regular deli meats. They're crafted in Canada using only Schneider's premium cuts of meat, and they're an excellent source of protein. Try all 5 new deli meats, including smoked Black Forest ham and herb turkey from Schneider's. Trusted by Canadians for over 130 years. Brand power helping you buy better.
The Out-of-Town Scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. And check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. Guy, it's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Here's what we have. End of the second period. Devils 3-0 over the Islanders. End of the first. Oilers and Senators tied at 1. After 20 minutes of play, Panthers 1-0 over the Flyers. Earlier today, Capitals 3-0 over the Jets. Washington moves into the final wildcard spot in the East. Avalanche 5-4 in overtime over Pittsburgh. Later on tonight at 8 o'clock, Stars in Arizona. Tampa in Anaheim against the Ducks. Sabres in Calgary against the Flames. The Habs in Seattle against the Kraken. In our game, 2-0 for Carolina over the Leafs after 20 minutes of play. Oh, yes, Guy, the second period is next on Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey, TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Hear the Masters exclusively on Sirius XM. Hi, this is Mike Tirico, and there's nothing like the Masters.
Rory McIlroy, he's thinking grand slam.
The beauty of the azaleas, the passion of the patrons, and the best golfers in the world vying for a green jacket.
It turned right into the cup for John Rahm.
It all makes for one of the most iconic weekends in sports. Join me for live coverage of the Masters beginning Thursday, April 11th on Masters Radio, Channel 92, and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent.
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, overhead.
And get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, yeah, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this, they got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Leafs outshot 16-7 in the first period, trail 2-0. We were talking prior to the game, Mr. Ralph, if everyone on the roster is healthy, who do you start in game one?
Yeah, if you got a little bit of extra time tonight, just say everybody's healthy. Here's the roster. Good luck. And I mean, we sat here and we went through it. We said, you know what, this isn't bad. Oh, Bobby McMahon should probably be in the top
something.
4 lines. So we did a little bit of readjusting. And
so our lines are Domi, Matthews, Marner, Bertuzzi, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Holmberg, Yarncrook, Dewar, Camp, and Nye.
I mean, you like them on paper, don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
but then again, you've got to look at who you're taking out of the lineup, and that comes at the cost of the likes of Noah Gregor and
Ryan Reed. Yeah. And
then you do the same thing with the defense, and
Yep.
And that's, assuming that Mark Giordano is healthy and TJ Brody who's back in the lineup tonight. But Connor Timmins, I think, has looked good. He was a scratch tonight. Simon Benoit, I know we've sung his praises since he's had an opportunity to play this season.
Yeah, the defense we talked about, what we had, Riley McCabe, Edmondson Liljegren, and Benoit Labushkin. Well, we'll see. As luck would have it, we don't coach this team.
Yes.
Actually, the coach has done pretty well.
Oh, there's millions of people that coach this team on a regular basis.
Here's Liljegren. Leafs on the power play. Fired in as they move right to left on your radio dial. Slipped around the boards, and it's going to come all the way back out and down into the Leaf zone. Winning percentage with 300 games at least coached. Sheldon Keefe, 671. Rod Brindamore, 662. Somebody named Scott Bowman, 657. Claude Ruel, 648. Pretty heady company. Domi tips it over on the right wing side. Nylander got it around back of the net. Nylander is able to secure the puck in the near corner now. Back to the point. It goes to Liljegren. 21 seconds left in the penalty. Nylander being chased hard. Gets it back to the point. Shot coming. Blocked. Oh, and it bounced over Nylander's stick. And he had empty net to shoot at.
Boy, Freddie Anderson was late reacting to that, wasn't he? He was still looking to his left, and the rebound bounced to his right and just over the Nylander.
Penalty expires as it's flipped into Carolina territory. Orlov playing it around the boards. A shot taken by Riley was blockered away by Anderson. And now Burns trying to get it out over the line. Overskated the puck. The Leafs get it back on the wing. And it'll be chipped into the zone by Connor Dewar. Orlov goes around back of the net. Had his pass blocked. Kept alive now by Dewar in the near corner. Dewar trying to center, blockered away by Anderson. A puck comes free, and it'll be brought out into the center ice area then by Necas, who gets it to center. David Camp brings it right back in for Toronto. Camp works into the corner now, drives the net, and as he pulled it to his forehand, he kind of got his stick tapped a little bit, and it went a little bit too far for him, and he never did get a shot, but he looked like he was going to get an opportunity coming out of the corner, didn't he?
Well, we saw the Leafs with a couple of those last night, didn't we? Bobby McMahon drove to the net off the wing. But boy, yeah, Willie Nylander had the greatest opportunity after the redirection, and we're watching David Camp on the replay here. Had to go. The other difficult part for Camp, he almost had to take it to the goal line to the left of Freddie Anderson to get around a defenseman to drag it back out front.
Carolina gets to center off the face-off win. A long shot directed wide off the stick of Nason. And it's brought to center ice by Toronto. Holmberg, left wing side, Nyes. Nyes works into the corner after it. Couldn't center. And it'll be grabbed off now by the Hurricanes and launched out at center ice. Leafs are able to come up with it again. One of the Hurricanes did a nose plant there and tried to get to the bench. Nyes playing it ahead. Chopped at by Robertson. Nyes follows up on the play. Got it to Holmberg, who will backhand into the zone and then go to the bench. Played around the boards to the near side. Martinuk got it into the right wing side. Leafs come out of the corner with Matthews and a shot. That's going to deflect into the area back of the net. Matthews trying to get it in front. Couldn't. And it's going to be pushed out at center ice, forcing Bertuzzi to get back and take it away. Pretty good slash there, and now here's Domi in over the line with Matthews going right to the net. A shot on. That went off a stick, or did Anderson get a pad on it? Back to the point it'll come, and it's right by everybody and down into the Leaf end. Edmondson will skate back. Wall waiting to get to it and then play it around the boards, but the Hurricanes can't come up with it. Brought back now by Bertuzzi, and they're going to call Matthews offside. On the right wing.
Did Max Domi pass that? I mean, that is one of those. I know you got Austin Matthews going on the back post, and we've seen the great hands of Max Domi. But this is just Chatfield cleared it away. I mean, that's where Max Domi.
He's got to go upstairs right there.
Yeah. And I realize, like we said, Max Domi's been on a roll. 8 assists in his last 10 games, 4 of them in Washington.
Brought in by the Hurricanes, dropped past Teravainen, shot delivered and blockered away by Wall. Puck around back of the net, a wraparound try by Stahl is stopped by the Leaf netminder, and he will hold on.
Chatfield, by the way, made an excellent play, an excellent read on that as well. That's usually when you've got that perfect trust with your goaltender, right? You take the shot, I'll take the pass. And it was the pass that was intercepted.
Leafs return home on Tuesday night to host the New Jersey Devils, who have slid out of the playoff picture. They went and got a goaltender, but it has not translated into any kind of a push towards the postseason. Hurricanes back in their own zone. Bringing it out at center and shooting it down into the Leaf end, out of the goal wall to tuck it back along the boards. Brody ran into difficulties there as it comes back to the near side. McMahon helps out with Tavares, and Tavares' backhand to open ice gets to McCabe, who's able to one-hand it down into Carolina territory. Hurricanes lead 2-0 and are out shooting the Leafs 19-9.
Well, the Leafs look better here in the second period, haven't they?
Long pass ahead at center. Brought on by Gregor. Played into the corner. Camp couldn't get there in time. Long point shot, though. Got to the goal line. It's still on the goal line. And it's taken to safety at the last second by Kuznetsov.
Boy, a redirection by David Camp. But the puck popped loose. Gregor couldn't get it.
Here the Hurricanes in over the line. Kotkaniemi working it back to the blue line, and it's out at center ice, and trying to work over there to get it into the zone was Dewar, but failing to do so. Leafs with it back in their own zone.
Boy, you get the feeling tonight it's one of those games where the hockey gods just hate you.
Are they wearing striped jerseys? Played out at center ice now for Holmberg. Holmberg for Nyes on the angle. Had it knocked off his stick, but carries back of the goal. Comes out in front. Got a shot away, but it was blocked in front of the goal by Brett Pesce. Back on the point it comes. Near far side for Liljegren. Can't send it to the net. Sends it into the corner. Back of the net, Pontus Holmberg. He comes out. Can't get it a shot to the net. Now drives back of the goal. Holmberg on his backhand. Off the boards to the point. Shot by Edmondson. Got through. Anderson makes the save. And it's one-handed to the line, but not out. Right back behind the goal again. Anderson playing it into the corner. And it'll be launched out at center ice by Carolina. Brody deflects in on goal. Anderson tries to shoot it out. That was blocked. The pass in front. Oh, and Anderson made a great save. And then Matthews hits the goal post. 17 on the year for Matthews.
Freddie Anderson makes a great initial stop.
Centering pass in front, and again a shot by Matthews. This time swallowed up by Anderson.
It is hard to believe with what we've seen so far that the Leafs have gone 214 straight games, regular season and playoffs, without being shut out.
You got it in now.
Well,
it's the most impressive statistic that we have utilized a lot during this season.
208 times.
And it's really worked quite well. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
You've heard that sound before. A basketball going off the backboard and in. A bank shot. Well, that's actually the sound of a fan winning a Raptors jersey. That's the sound of a fan getting a signed Raptors basketball. And that's a fan scoring tickets to the NBA Finals. With the Tangerine Bank Shot contest, every bank shot the Raptors score this season wins a fan a prize. Enter for a chance to win at tangerine.ca/bankshot. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, we can expect more thunderstorms as the evening approaches, and then overnight... Oh, hold on. Yeah, can I get 2 number 6s with a side of curly fries? Hold the onions, please. Yeah.
Harold, are you in the drive-thru right now?
Jim, no one listens to this. Oh, thank you. Yeah, great.
Weather reports don't matter when you drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Sandra and Kabir are celebrating 50 years of marriage by turning their boring bedroom into a spicy one. Oh, my. Alpine Credit sent a super strength hero to help with a home renovation loan. New floors, windows, a heart-shaped button that plays this tune. Okay, I think that's quite enough. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
Austin Matthews hits the goalpost in tight. And that is 17 posts. And we talked about this last night. The unofficial record held by Steven Stamkos a few years ago. And I don't think it's gone back a long ways, but it went back far enough. The Stamkos one is from the 2010-11 season. So, hey, we're looking at 14 years here that stat has been compiled. Pass into the slot area, right wing side. Chatfield had it stolen away by Bobby McMahon. McMahon launching it high into neutral ice. Tavares and McMahon punch it to the blue line. Tavares couldn't get it in deep. Oh, and a big hit there by McCabe. He stepped right into Seth Jarvis and flattened him. At the point, McMahon's shot deflects wide of the goal. Here are the Leafs trying to come out of the corner, and Matthews was knocked down. Matthews trying to get to a loose puck, but can't. and now gets out at center and steals it, only to have the Hurricanes bring it in over the blue line. You know, when you talk about the Hart Trophy, and there's lots of discussion with so many tremendous candidates this year, you think about Matthews, the goal scorer, but you think about Matthews, the checker, Matthews, the distributor, Matthews, the stealer of pucks, Matthews, the blocker of shots this year. His value to this team has been unbelievable.
And the goals haven't hurt.
No, they've not. That's at the top of the list. I'm just saying that there is a list, and it's pretty substantive. Played in over the line. Matthews driving, and the puck bounced over his stick before he could get a shot away.
How many times have we said that tonight? Whether it was Nylander or Matthews.
Now Liljegren back in his own zone. The Leafs seem to have gotten their legs here a little bit in the second period. And now here the Hurricanes getting it in over the line. Necas along the far boards. Backhands down deep into the corner. Cut off there by Liljegren. Liljegren starts out. Liljegren through center. Hits the blue line on the left wing for Camp. Back in on a deflection. And unfortunately for Timothy Liljegren, it was a great deflection towards that corner, but he completely slowed it up.
Yeah,
and Anderson had no trouble getting a glove to it.
The slow one-hopper. I'll tell you the one thing. If you're a defenseman, or I mean even a forward that can be physical, you can have a bad night handling the puck, clearing the puck, but you've still got the ability to take one step and flatten somebody, as we saw Jake McCabe did there on Seth Jarvis. By the way, Jarvis, 27 goals on the season. He's actually got a 6-game goal streak going for Carolina. And how did he become a member of the Carolina Hurricanes? A first-round pick that Carolina got from Toronto for taking on the Patrick Marleau contract.
You just never know, do you? Hurricanes with a shot, blockered away by Wall. Down in the corner far side, Nyes can't get to it. Nason trying to center, but Liljegren took it, or Brody took it away from him. And now the puck secured by Pontus Holmberg. And then Robertson couldn't get it out. It comes back to the point. Pesce to his defense partner. Back to Pesce. A shot. Big rebound off of Wall. Cleared to the line. Not out. Into the corner it goes. Far side for Nason. Nason trying to center. Intercepted there by McCabe. He finds Robertson. And Robertson makes a bad pass that's going to turn into an icing. That's going to turn into a face-off. That's going to turn into a situation where the young man just has to be able to make those plays to be in the lineup when the postseason starts.
But that's twice. He tried a little toe drag to get it out earlier. Carolina got it back. And we talked about it last night, the game against Edmonton. Nick Robertson was 2 feet from the center ice line. Instead, pulled up, tried to make a cute little back pass. That ended up at an icing.
There's a shot that went just wide of the Leaf goal. Nyes getting it elevated into the center ice area. Knocked down. It goes to Pontus Holmberg. He'll get it into the zone. Changes coming for the Leafs. Holmberg down on the inboards. Double team down there as Tavares arrives on the scene to add support. Then Nylander trying to dig it free, but it's knocked out at center ice by Carolina. Riley will go back to retrieve it. The veteran sends it around the boards to the far side, but it is broken up there by Carolina. Centering pass goes off of Lyubushkin and ends up going up in the screen and out of play. Second period brought to you by Molson. Whether it's Canadian, Ultra, Export, or XL, there is a Molson with your name on it. Timeout. 2-0 in favor of Carolina, and you're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Hey, this is Avril Lavigne. Honoring fierce, fearless females for Women's History Month on Queens of Pop. Paying homage to women in music that have pushed boundaries and shattered glass ceilings. Sirius XM Queens of Pop.
Now for a limited time on Channel 79 and anytime on the Sirius XM app.
Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate. Weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Face-off coming, brought to you by Alpine Credits. To own your own home and need a loan, Alpine Credits can help. Get approved at alpinecredits.ca. Face-off in the Toronto zone, won by Carolina. Burns walks down the boards, got it back to Teravainen. A shot deflected wide of the net, goes into the corner, off the official. And it is grabbed off there by Lyubushkin, who forces it to the blue line and finally gets it out. It's down into the zone, no icing. Round back of the net, unable to trap it was Domi, and it's played high to center ice and now into the Leaf zone. Drop pass by Teravainen, and the shot deflected on goal, stopped by Wall. Bertuzzi banks it ahead. Domi doesn't get it out. Off Bertuzzi's stick. Twisting around there was Jordan Martinook, who went to the ice. And it is now chipped to the line, but Domi doesn't get it out. Neither does Riley. And a shot then is taken and blocked by Joel Edmondson. Edmondson around the boards to the near side. Off the wing it comes to Bertuzzi. He once again unable to make contact with it. Brought back in. That's a close offside. Here the Hurricanes down into the corner, sending it around the boards on the right wing side. Pesce playing it back in the net. Cut off by Riley. Chipped ahead and now brought out by Tavares. Up ahead for Nylander with one man back. Closing in. And he hammered it wide of the goal. A rebound all the way to center ice. Jarvis in across the line. Played down into the corner and Liljegren takes his man to the wall. But the puck comes free. Banked back towards the point. Kept alive there by Nekash, now to Pesce. A pass for Maho to the right wing side is deflected and played into the corner by McCabe as it comes to the side of the net. And it'll be swallowed up there by Wall and brought to a face-off in the Toronto zone.
Well, you think Jake McCabe might want to put away that little backhand pass near his own net. That cost the Leafs on the first goal, and almost Carolina gets another scoring opportunity here. But it's really been a game of almost for the Leafs offensively, hasn't it?
I guess Anderson must have got a piece of that Nylander shot.
I mean, a lot of bouncing pucks. That might be as clean an opportunity that the Leafs have had. Though the one-timer by Austin Matthews, Freddie Anderson was forced to make a great save on that as well. The Leafs out shooting Carolina 8-6, 8-7. We'll update that here in the second period.
Dewar taking the face off. Leafs are able to punch it out at center, race after it, but Orlov gets back. Orlov fanned on a pass. Gregor laying it in a little bit deeper. In goes Dewar with a hit. Puck along the boards, corralled by Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov taken to the boards and backhanded out at center ice onto the stick of the awaiting forward as Svechnikov got it into the Leaf zone. They flip it right back out at center. Volleyballed ahead for a glove pass, and that will stop play with 7:45 left to go in the second period. And the Carolina Hurricanes out in front by a score of 2-0.
Coming into this game, the Toronto Maple Leafs have 21 wins on the road. I know we've talked about this a couple of times, and to me it really hasn't gotten as much talk as I think it should have. But their franchise record is 23. Now they've set all those records in the last 15 years. But the Leafs, if they finish 500 in the last 6 games on the road, they're going to set a franchise record for road wins. Yeah.
And it would appear they're going to start on the road in the playoffs. As the puck goes down into the corner, and it is sent to the line, but not out. Then a shot blocked by Carolina, lugged out at center ice by Slavin. Slavin to the right wing side, and a pass doesn't work. Then a sharp angle shot is handled by Wall. Matthews bringing it back at center. Lays it into the left wing corner. Bertuzzi thought better of pursuing. Matthews did, and almost got it out in front of the net. But it's played by Carolina to center and down into the Leaf end, forcing Pontus Holmberg back. He'll skate it around back of the Toronto goal, then reverse it into the near corner for Joel Edmondson. Long rink-wide pass.
Boy, I don't know
who that was for, but...
Well, Bertuzzi is straddling the bench. I don't know whether he was coming on.
Or going off.
Whatever it was. I mean, it might have been too many men on the ice that he played it. So that's why he thought straddling the boards would be the safer thing to do. But if you're Edmondson, you look up and you see a guy wide open at the far blue line, you're going to try to feed it to him.
Played down into the Toronto end. Wall punches it along the boards. Nyes couldn't get to it. Back to the point, and a shot blocked nicely by Wall. The puck to the far boards for Robertson. He gets it out at center, and Pontus Holmberg will play it in. Nick Robertson trying to get in there against Kotkaniemi. The puck goes around the boards to the near side. Nyes frees it up. Holmberg with a shot from a sharp angle. That was stopped. The rebound back to the blue line. Fed off on the wing and a shot. That goes high and wide of the Carolina goal. Kept in by Brody on the left point. Into the corner now for Holmberg. Back for Brody. Brody trying to play it back to Robertson, but it was out of his reach and comes to center ice. Leafs with it again to Nyes. Nyes barges in over the line. Got some help. Whoa. Bit of a high stick going for the puck, and there's going to be a penalty here.
Yeah, we got that one. And that's Nick Robertson, who, I mean, the puck's up in the air.
But it's right at the face of the Carolina player, who's going to play it with his glove, and Robertson hits him in the...
And this is, again, I mean, you feel for Nick Robertson because the effort is there, but the execution is questionable.
So the third power play coming for Carolina. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuzz shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
I just helped Tom with a business loan. He needed to soup up his mechanic shop. Not to brag, but I once modified a car to match my ultra speed. It went so fast, it broke the speed of sound. At least no one was inside. I hope no one was inside. I guess I'll just stick to approving business loans.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, sorry, cash only. Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, we don't accept foot money here. That's
Thanks,
how he
Harold.
talks. But now
weather
I'm
reports
starving, and I'm
don't matter
looking for
when you
something to
drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Nick Robertson for high sticking, and the problem there was there were other alternatives, right? He could have stepped into the defenseman. The puck would have been at his feet.
No fair catches in hockey.
No, and you were gonna hit the puck with a high stick anyway. If you hit it, when you hit him in the head,
if you're successful, you get a whistle. Power play 1 for 2 on 6 shots, although did have a penalty shot as well to Jake Gensel in the first period.
Camp trying to win the face-off, but he doesn't. Burns to the near side. Played back to the point to Burns. It goes off a stick and to the line, but not out. Stepping over it on it almost was Aho. Now a centering pass in front, and fanning on it there was Svechnikov. Burns trying to keep it in but can't. It's over his head and out and down the ice. Brought out now by Brent Burns. Barrie native drops it back. Brought to the line and in by Aho. Played back to Burns, down into the corner for Aho. He swept it out in front, but Gunsel couldn't handle the pass. Burns at the point. Back to Gunsel, onto the left wing side. Back to the point, a shot, and that went wide. And the rebound is trapped by Burns at the right point. To the left wing side, now for Gunsel again. Trying to play it in front. Gunsel trips up Holmberg, but doesn't get a penalty, and the puck still maintained here by Carolina. Aho to the point, Burns a one-timer. That deflects wide. Back to the net, trying to come up with it, Svechnikov. Back to Burns it comes. To the near side. Aho, left wing side. Gunsel a pass, and no one there on the back door to tip it home. Leafs have not been able to ice the puck. Pass into the slot. All alone in front is Sebastian Aho. Got it off to the near side. A shot, and Wall makes a miraculous recovery from trying to get out on Sebastian Aho to get across and make the save on Svechnikov. They call it skating on your pads. Well, he looked like a figure skater there, didn't he?
Well, he had to come out and challenge. The puck ends up in behind the Leaf defense. Wall comes out to challenge to the point where Aho says, I don't have a play. So he dishes it off to the right wing circle to Svechnikov, and all of a sudden Joseph Wall comes flying over to take that one away.
26 shots on goal for Carolina. And again, this time the faceoff wasn't done cleanly. They'll do it again. But boy, this is an area, if you want to help your penalty kill, win some faceoffs.
Big time.
And David Camp has not been overly good at this throughout the course of the year. Tavares is their best face-off man, but obviously not a penalty killer.
Well, Camp has won 4 of 6 so far tonight, but did lose the last one.
And loses this one. Back to the point. Shea to the far side, and a shot swallowed up by Wall again.
Well, down 2-0 late in the second period, but if there is a positive, Joseph Wall is looking a lot more like the kid. And then this is after giving up a goal in the second shot of the game early on, and then having a second one bounce past him off his own man.
Leafs don't get it out along the boards. Down into the corner with 21 seconds left in the power play. Kuznetsov along the boards for Nason. Back to the point it comes. Shea had it deflect off the stick of Dewar. Dewar is going to get it out. And now here's Camp with Dewar and over the line. Camp settles it down. The pass for Dewar was just out of his reach. Connor Dewar looking for his first Leaf goal. He has scored a shorthanded goal this season before coming to Toronto. Leafs back at full and even strength, and a shot knocked down by Wall into the corner. Liljegren punches it ahead. Robertson looking to get a pass, and it's knifed ahead and played in over the line. And now Matthews trying to come out of the corner with it, and it was deflected just wide of the goal. Domi in along the boards, but pushed ahead at center, and it will be Natchez getting into center ice. Carolina brings it in on the left wing. Good hit by Liljegren to stand up Martinuk there. Puck along the boards. Matthews kicking it free. Couldn't get it out past the one man. And a shot deflects off Wall wide of the goal. Liljegren ties up his man, but into the corner goes Martinuk. Around back of the net for Stahl. Back to the point. Trapped there. Kept in by Pesce. Cut off back of the net. Riley couldn't get to it. Far side for Drury. Jack Drury with a shot that is caught by the left hand of Wall. And that's going to be the 30th shot on goal for the Carolina Hurricanes, who lead 2-0.
Another chance off the rush. Short-handed, and boy, this was a great pass by David Camp to get it through the skates to the Carolina defenseman. And it looked like at the last moment just skips over the stick of Connor Dewar.
Yeah, he was trying to get it to settle down, but it was rolling when he made the pass. So Trying to make a good tape-to-tape pass under those circumstances is difficult. Nylander loses the face-off in the Leaf zone. Back to the point, Chatfield sending it down into the corner. Around back of the net, far side for Brody. He'll backhand it out at center, and Tavares is away. Tavares in over the line, but the puck rolled away from him. And the Hurricanes are able to send it around the boards and out and down the ice. And an icing call coming here against Carolina.
Mentioned David Camp. The Leafs have won only 43% of the faceoffs so far tonight. You mentioned John Tavares being their best faceoff man. He's won 1 of 6. Who else have we got? David Camp is now 5 of 8. And Austin Matthews has won 1 of 6.
Draw controlled by the Leafs in the offensive zone. Bertuzzi against the boards. Couldn't keep it in. It comes out at center ice, and it's flipped back to Tavares, who had to go off a stick. And that forces Liljegren back to retrieve it. Liljegren on the left wing boards, backhands it into neutral ice. Knocked back into the zone, and Nylander will go back to retrieve it. He's going to circle back with Aho chasing him. Sebastian Aho, one of the highest scoring Finns in NHL history. Back in over the line now for Nylander. He goes around back of the far goal. Curves out, tries to center. No one there. Played out at center ice, and a 2-on-1 breaking here. Chance for Orlov. Shooting! And it is caught up in the equipment of Joseph Wall and held for a face-off in the Toronto zone.
Well, as much as you love about Willie Nylander, we see a lot of these, right? Those turnovers just inside the offense or the opposing team's blue line. And there was another one. It was Dmitry Orlov that read the play and took it back the other way. Nylander does get back. Joseph Wall's still forced to make a pretty difficult stop off the left-handed shooting Orlov, who was breaking down the right wing side.
30-17, the shots favoring Carolina. And one of the things since coming back has been a lack of offensive support for Joseph Wall. A shot here deflects off Edmondson into the corner. Grabbed off there by Camp. He had it roll off his stick. Played into the far corner. Drury goes in after it. Takes Lyubushkin to the boards. Puck played back by Kotkaniemi to the blue line. A long bouncing shot. And that was stopped by the crowd in front of the net. Someone has had a stick break in half, and the Leafs are going to get it out at center, trying to play it in there for a stretch pass. And Noah Gregor couldn't come up with it, and it'll come all the way back into the Leaf zone with 1:02 to go in what has been a scoreless second period.
And the Leafs have not gone on a power play since late in the opening period.
Wall had to make a pretty good right leg butterfly save.
It was said last night by Sheldon Keefe that Elias Samsonov's injury that had him leave the game late against the Edmonton Oilers was nothing serious.
Which was fortunate. Good block in front of the net by Lyubushkin. And then Camp is tripped up going into the corner. And a penalty is going to come to Svechnikov in behind the Toronto goal line. And again, the Leafs are going to have to do a little hustle job on this, because once again, the intermission is going to dissect it.
There was a bit of a delay, though, wasn't there, before that whistle went after Camp went down? And you wonder if it would have been called had Carolina not recovered the puck. Possibly had a scoring chance out of it.
So this evens things up as far as power plays, brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealer. Get more value out of every kilometer as the Leafs get it back to the blue line, into the slot area, now to the near boards for Nylander, back to the point to Liljegren. Liljegren shot in traffic is gloved nicely by Anderson. Maybe his best save right there.
Now, wrist shot from the point, and I don't think anybody provided much of a screen, and I think Tavares was the one that maybe kind of waved at it, Joe, and couldn't get anything on the redirection.
Yeah, he kind of turned and took the screen away and looking for the redirect. Liljegren in front of the net. Matthews to Nylander to Liljegren. Liljegren trying to play it in, but again, a lot of really aggressive checking on the penalty kill by the Carolina Hurricanes. Leafs have to go all the way back in their own zone with just 16 seconds left. Liljegren dropping. Last rush for Matthews, 9 seconds. He hits the blue line, slid over on the right wing side, tried to center, goes back of the net, does center in a shot. That stopped the rebound. Anderson down, sprawled, looking in the wrong direction as the horn goes.
Well, Freddie Anderson stays perfect through 40 minutes. We mentioned his numbers on the year, 9-1 on the year. But since coming back from the blood clot medical problem that he had, he's 5-0 and has given up just 7 goals in 5 goals in 2 periods. So the Leafs are going to have to find a way to solve Freddie Anderson, and maybe their best opportunity is going to be on the power play, which will leak into the third period.
30-18, the Leafs have been outshot. They trailed 2-0. Shea and Aho scoring the goals for Carolina. Jim Taddy and Dave Feschuk are standing by with our second period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
March Madness is finally here. For the best analysis and coverage of the NCAA tournament, tune into Sirius XM College Sports Radio.
Oh, he bangs it home!
From the title contenders to the Cinderella teams, we've got you covered through the national championship in Phoenix.
We really don't know how teams are going to respond in March.
It's all on Sirius XM College Sports Radio, Channel 84, our Power 5 conference channels 371 through 375, and the all-new Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think have come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Points with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Points with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get over them.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the Sirius XM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter Miami game.
Messi, up, over, and
and get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
And still trailing Carolina 2-0 after 40 minutes of play. TSN after 40 delivered by 241 Pizza. Get a free medium one-topping pizza with a $25 minimum purchase before tax and delivery. Online orders only. Visit 241pizza.com. Use the code FREEM for that free medium pizza. Jim Taddy, Dave Feschuk with you. Dave, how do we get here? I mean, there should have been just another truckload full of goals here, but they didn't happen.
Oh, well, this is a goaltending show, Jim, I tell you. Joseph Wall already with 28 saves, 40 minutes into this thing, and our old pal Freddie Anderson of many years of Maple Leaf and a great friend to many of Maple Leaf, including, of course, a close friend to Austin Matthews and Morgan Riley. He's putting on quite the show on the other end of the ice surface here, so yeah, the guys with the gloves are flashing the leather tonight, and it's keeping this game 2-0 Carolina through 40.
Freddie is steady once again. Austin Matthews, it would appear it's only a matter of time. He had some grade A opportunities, 5 shots, another 4 that don't get through for 9 shot attempts, and he is front and center all over the place in terms of having opportunities, but just getting stymied by Freddie Anderson.
Well, you know, sometimes when you got a buddy, I remember hearing Freddie tell stories about he would visit Austin Matthews in Arizona in the summertime, and, you know, Matthews would be shooting on Freddie all the time. He just sometimes on road hockey, sometimes on ice surfaces, and so they have that bond of being old buddies. And sometimes you rise to that occasion, Jim. You rise to play your best against the guys you're closest to, and I think Freddie certainly would definitely be on his highest of alerts when Austin Matthews has the puck and doing his best to keep it out. And so far, he's succeeding because you're right. Matthews has had a ton of great chances.
So they ended the first period with some momentum. I thought it carried over. In fact, the first 10 minutes of that second period looked really good. And still, you know, they end in a power play. So much like the end of the first period, they end the second the same way, go on a power play, and maybe able to get something going early in the third. I mean, they badly need a goal. No question about that. But would you agree with my assessment of their play?
Yeah, I thought it was a great bounce-back period. I mean, there's a reason why the Maple Leafs lead the NHL in victories after trailing in the first period. And they got 12 wins after trailing at the first intermission, which is the most in the NHL. They've got 6 multi-goal comeback wins for a reason. They know how to bounce back. You know, when you test them, when you make them look bad, as maybe the Carolina Hurricanes did out of the gate here, and maybe it was also a scheduling situation that made them look bad because they're coming off a win over Edmonton less than 24 hours ago. Well, Carolina has not had that same amount of labor. They had a night off after a game against Washington the other night. So. But yeah, Toronto definitely bounced back after the first intermission here, and we're a different team. I thought they really looked like a much better team. They were much more careful with the puck, with a couple of exceptions, and they really got speed going through the neutral zone and a lot of energy on the forecheck that we just didn't see as much in the first period.
Yeah, absolutely. And the 5-man unit looked like it was all in unison as opposed to the first period where they seemed to be trying to find their way. I didn't like the Robertson penalty in terms of, you know, you just can't do that, but it didn't hurt them.
It didn't hurt him. You're right, but it's hurting Nick Robertson, right? Like, he's had a tough game tonight. There's a reason why, you know, he's been at the bottom of or near the bottom of the ice time list for Sheldon Keefe, and it wasn't just that. That was a silly penalty, you know, flailing your stick after a high flipping puck that you should not be doing. It gets you into the box. He also gave up that neutral zone turnover that led to the second Carolina power play. So he's kind of been responsible for a couple of Carolina power plays. And on that one, the one where he turned it over, created the rush that led to Holmberg's a slashing penalty. That one actually was cashed in by Carolina. So you can't give this Carolina team chances on the special teams. They got elite penalty kill, elite power play, and Nick Robertson's not helping his cause by doing just that.
I don't know about you, and you agree or disagree. To me, when I watch Joel Edmondson play, I wonder how they got by without him before the trade deadline, because he's just an absolute mainstay back there, isn't he?
Isn't he, though? Yeah, no, he's fun to watch. He just sells out. He'll do anything necessary to keep pucks out of the Toronto net. I'm sure if you're Joseph Wall, you love to have a guy like that back there because he'll give a hit, he'll take a hit, he'll block a shot, he'll throw his face in front of a puck, he'll do whatever is necessary. And you just know guys like that are you feel more secure when guys like that are on the ice. And you're right, you wonder how you did without him before you got him. And certainly that's the feeling right now in Leafland with Joel Edmondson back there playing as well as he is.
Well, and we've hired other teams. Obviously, Vegas has a defense, the whole defense like that. Tampa's had a blue line like that for years, and the Leafs haven't, and you could see how effective it could be. So I don't know where it goes, but certainly an indicator that that's the way to go to proceed forward.
Well, I love the balance right now that you've got Riley Lyubushkin. Well, Riley's been great tonight. I mean, he's had some great offensive opportunities and obviously great on the back check. But again, there's a balance there between Riley's, great dynamic ability to join the rush and Lyubushkin's ability to take care of his own end. You got Edmondson, Liljegren, and again, nice balance. Edmondson, the no-nonsense, do whatever it takes to win, stay home guy. Liljegren, obviously not afraid to range and provide some offense, which the Leafs need as well. And then Brody McCabe, same sort of, ideally when Brody's at his best, it's the same sort of tandem. So I do like the balance they have on that blue line for that very reason, Jim. And it's you can't have one kind make it happen. And sometimes in Leaf history, recent Leaf history, they've had too many of one kind. I think they've got a nice balance of both kinds now, and that bodes well for the playoffs.
Dave, thanks very much. Carolina 2-0 over the Leafs after 40 minutes of play. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Let's get jerseys. Let's get jerseys.
Right now, become a Tangerine client with a savings account, and you could get a free Raptors jersey.
We want jerseys.
Finally, a savings account worth cheering for.
Jerseys. Jerseys.
Find out how to score a jersey at tangerine.ca/Raptors. Tangerine. That's forward banking. Available to new clients who open and fund an eligible account while supplies last. Conditions apply.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Ron is a teacher helping bright minds, but this time he needed help. Alpine Credit sent a cosmic superhero with a debt consolidation loan. She conjured a magic book, Debt Consolidation 101. Lesson 1, consolidate debt into one low monthly payment. Lesson 2, nothing. It's a short book. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. District license 12616.
Hi, Anthony Longo here. At Longo's, we put as much care into our products as you do into family meals. So this Easter, we recommend our AAA boneless strip loin roasts and steaks, naturally aged for at least 21 days, so you're getting the most tender beef around. You'll see why 68 years in the biz makes us Ontario's favorite grocery store. And just in time for Easter, these top-selling AAA roasts and steaks are an unbelievable 30% off. For quality that meets your family standards, trust ours, Longo's.
Ugh, I need a vacation.
Me too. But where and when?
Like, now?
Maybe you're onto something. Let me check Sunwing Vacations.
Yes, sunwing.ca. What? Beach? Please. A last-minute vacay to Cuba starting at $785? Sun, sea, sand, here we come.
With March deals this low, you just gotta say book it and go. Book with your local travel agent or...
Will I need a new air conditioner this summer? Predicting record-breaking heat?
You might not know the best time to get a new air conditioner, but we do. Right now, with the Reliance Home Comfort Trade-In event, you can get $1,100 in credit towards your new AC when you trade in your old one. That's right, $1,100. So if you want to beat the summer rush and save big,
call on Reliance.
Conditions apply. See website for details.
Mark's This Is Big event is on now. Until March 27th, save up to 60% on a wide selection of styles perfect for spring, including silver jeans and clothing at 40% off. Mark's This Is Big event on now at Mark's and Mark's.com.
Excuse me, miss. If I say Contrave, Contrave, Contrave,
Do you know what it is?
Of course I do. And I know how to get my tablets at no cost.
Oh, you know that.
Ask your doctor about Contrave and learn how to receive Contrave tablets at no cost.
The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. And check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. Guy, it's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Here's what we have. After 40 minutes of play, Oilers and Senators tied at 3. Also, at the end of the second period, Panthers 2-0 over the Flyers. Earlier today, Capitals shut out the Jets 3-0. In overtime, Avs got by Pittsburgh 5-4, and the Devils shut out the Islanders 4-0. Starting in mere minutes, the Stars in Arizona at 8:30, Tampa in Anaheim against the Ducks at 9, Sabres in Calgary, and the Habs will be in Seattle also at 9. In our game, 2-0 for Carolina over the Leafs. Guess what, Guy? The third period is next. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
2024 election on Sirius XM.
The fight for our democracy. That's been the work of my first term.
Thrilled to be back with thousands of proud American patriots.
Where every voice matters.
I'm as far left as you can get.
This president has not complied with his oath.
Left, right, center, decided, or undecided.
We have to use our voices. We have to stand up for what we believe.
The only place for every perspective and your voice about your vote on Sirius XM.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the Sirius XM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, overhand!
And get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Toronto Maple Leafs being shut out by Frederik Andersen, and they have not been shut out in 214 consecutive games. Something Mr. Ralph brought up a little while earlier, but the goals in the first period from Brady Shea and Sebastian Aho have lifted the Hurricanes to the 2-0 lead. A better second period for the Maple Leafs, who are still outshot 14-11 and 30-18 over the first 2 periods of play. The Leafs will start the third period on the power play with Svechnikov in the box for tripping as he went off at 19-11. So the Leafs are going to get a minute 11 on the power play here.
All right, since we always bring it up, November 20th, 2021, the last time the Leafs were shut out, it was at home to the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know who the goal scorers were for Pittsburgh in a 2-0 win?
Nope.
Jeff Carter and Jake Gensel.
Oh, and he's in the game today.
Yeah, had an
opportunity to score pretty good on a penalty shot and was denied.
Now, Freddie Anderson was already in Carolina, so the goaltenders in that game, Tristan Jarry, last goalie to shut the Leafs out in a regular season or playoff game. And the goalie for the Leafs, Jack Campbell, on that night. But a huge opportunity. I mean, we talk about specialty teams. Sometimes you just need that one moment in the specialty teams to turn a game around, and the Leafs are going to get the opportunity here to start the third.
Leafs to the left and the Hurricanes to the right. Officials telling the boys to get out of the circle, and puck is dropped and we're underway. Leafs win the face-off. Liljegren circles back in his own zone. Matthews is behind him as Liljegren comes out. He's going to drop it off to Nylander. Nylander comes through neutral ice, works to the line and in. Got it off on the wing to Tavares. Tavares near side, Domi. Shot coming, and it was deflected wide of the net. Burns gets to it and is able to punch it up on the wing. And a pass ahead springs Jordan Staal in alone. And that was stopped by Joseph Woll. Near side now for Slavin. His shot, a weak one that gets to the net. And it's going to be corralled, and the Leafs have given up a couple of chances here, short-handed.
Well, that was Timothy Liljegren's got to be much better at getting back. You're the defenseman out on the power play.
Nylander to the line and in. Gets into the slot. Weaves to the right wing side. Doesn't shoot it. Now trying to get it down low. That goes to Domi, back of the net. Domi tried to flip it in front for Nylander. That was partially deflected, and it goes into the corner. Now Matthews back to the point to Riley. Back to Matthews, and he launched that off a stick, and it's gone way up into the screen and out of play with just 3 seconds left in the penalty.
Wait a minute. Timothy Liljegren got caught backing up. Now Carolina does leave the zone early. Staal left the zone early. And it was actually Max Domi was the one that was able to get back closest. And the Staal as Joseph Woll again was forced to make an important stop.
Face off in the Carolina zone. And the draw won by, well, it's scrummed actually, and now controlled by Carolina, and the penalty expires. And out of the penalty box is Svechnikov, who backhands it into the Toronto end. Lyubushkin off McMahon into the zone. Backhanded pass by Camp into the slot. Doesn't work. Svechnikov brings it right back, but he had it stolen back then by McMahon. Leafs regroup it in the Toronto zone. Riley traded ahead, deflects down into the zone. McMahon into the forecheck here against Dmitry Orlov, but the Hurricanes get it up on the wing, but Robertson is able to intercept. Now back of the net for Camp. Camp takes it into the corner. McMahon swings it around the boards to McCabe at the point. Dropped it back for McMahon, and a shot went wide of the goal. Rebound to the side of the net, around back of the net. Robertson chipping it towards the blue line. Brody rings the boards to the far corner. McMahon trying to center. He did. Got it into the slot area, but Dewar couldn't get it from his skate to his stick to get a shot away. Robertson can't keep it in, and it is launched high to the Toronto blue line. Quickly right back in come the Leafs. Nick Robertson with a shot. That deflects high off a body up into the screen. And the Leafs have had some good pressure here, but they've given up turnovers and stretch passes when they were shorthanded.
I think it's one of those games that you're going to need some puck luck. Bounce in off a skate or redirection. Much like the second Carolina goal.
Draw to the left of Anderson. Yeah, Aho was trying to center it in front of the net, and it goes in off Jake McCabe and into the goal. Carolina break it to center. Kotkaniemi to the right wing side, and Woll goes over again, and in that butterfly takes the shot away from Stefan Nason.
You were talking about goal support. Coming into this game, Martin Jones, the Leafs averaged 4.15 goals per game in a Martin Jones start. Ilya Samsonov, 3.62. Joseph Woll, only 3.11 goals for. And that's including the 7 goals that the Leafs scored in Washington his last time out.
Well, he'd use 3.11 right now, wouldn't he? Shot up into the screen again off a stick.
Keep the change.
Yep. So the face-off will be in the Toronto zone.
One of the most recent times we've seen the Leafs in this position. Remember, they were down to Philadelphia. 3-0 into the third period. Came back and made a game of it.
Draw to the left. Won by Carolina. Shot by Burns. Blocked before it reached the net. Another point shot. That got through. And Woll knocked it down and then thought better of trying to play it. Then stops play by pouncing on the puck. 34 shots on goal for Carolina. And over the years, especially with Mr. Brindamore behind the bench, they lead the National Hockey League in shots on goal and attempts.
they are so good defensively as well. I mean, and Freddie Anderson's had to come up with some big moments for them.
Point shot again. That deflects wide of the Leaf goal. Holmberg is able to carry it out at center, but then gives the puck away with a bad pass. And it's right back in over the line with a backhand pass from Teravainen that Stahl couldn't track down. Along the boards, Martinuk gets it in a little bit deeper. Stahl lost it. Domi trying to work his way clear. Got it out at center, but misfired on his pass. It was looking for Anderson. And then McCabe blew a tire, but was able to get the puck to Domi. Domi across the line. A close play on the offside there for Holmberg, but it doesn't matter as it's played by Carolina back into the Leaf end. Bouncing puck into the far corner. Aho got it back of the net for Gunsel. Gunsel on the left wing. Chipped back in by Brady Shea to the far side. They ring the boards with it again. Shea is there to send it back of the goal. Cut off by Morgan Riley. And then Tavares is able to get to it, and he starts out. Tavares for Riley. Riley to the line. Flips it into the right wing corner. Tavares goes in there after it, trying to spin his man and Seth Jarvis around. And then Nylander couldn't keep it in as it's poked out into the center ice area. Liljegren shoots it right back in again. Down the boards, Bertuzzi for Nylander. Nylander centers, no one home. And it's back to the point, kept in there by Liljegren. Good play by Tavares, back of the net. Trying to get away from the checking there of Shea. Back to the point, sent back in on goal. Down goes Anderson in a bit of a collision in front of the net. He's lost his goal stick, and it's cleared to the line and out at center ice.
Second time in this game that Freddie Anderson's gone for a spill. First time it was his own defenseman that took him out. Not sure if that was a Leaf that might have made contact.
Played down into the Carolina zone again. And it's going to be shot out into the center ice area, and a whistle here is going to stop play with a face-off coming in the center ice area. Not sure what happened to Anderson. Bertuzzi was right there, and Bertuzzi got pushed into Anderson, and down went Anderson.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a push either.
Yeah. Pesce getting the
I'm sure
push on Bertuzzi.
Hurricanes feel the same way the Leafs and Leaf fans felt when Freddie Anderson was with the Leafs, that every time you see that, you're thinking, here's another injury.
Played off the boards into the Carolina zone. McMahon chases after his defenseman, but Chatfield was able to get it to the line, but not out. A pass in front of the net all alone. Back in on goal, and a great save by Anderson off McMahon. Two Leafs were down low all by themselves. What a chance that was to get on the board. Against the wall now, Gregor, and it is flipped high to center ice.
But the drop pass was just a little bit tight to the skates. It was the right mentality, just the execution was off.
Slavin gets it back to the point. Sent over by Drury to the far point to Burns. Burns lets a shot go, and that was deflected in front of the net. Into the corner now, back of the goal. McCabe fighting for it as it comes to Burns at the right point. He sends it towards the net. That's high over top of the goal. Great scoring chance there for the Leafs. And maybe the wrong guys.
But comes off the forecheck.
Yep. Riley regroups in his own zone. Lyubushkin gets it ahead. Nyes forced back. Just played it out over the line. Now waiting for teammates to get onside is Nason, who gets in with a sharp angle shot that was stopped there by Wall. Into the far corner. 35 shots on goal now for the Hurricanes. Back of the goal to the side of the net. And the Leafs are going to be able to chip it off the glass and get it out into neutral ice. Burns steps right back up and shoots it right back in again. But it is launched off his stick up into the screen. And play is whistled dead. So Bobby McMahon, along with T.J. Brody. And McMahon couldn't do the finish. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It's tournament time on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Lock into Channel 82 throughout the day for wall-to-wall tourney coverage. From live listen-ins to Westwood One's call.
UConn has its 5th national championship.
To instant reaction with you on the phones.
The seeding this year has been a mitigated disaster.
Mad Dog Sports Radio is your home for the upsets, the buzzer beaters, and non-stop NCAA tournament coverage. It's all on Channel 82 or anytime on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Feel the passion of Major League Soccer all season long on Sirius XM FC.
Stupendously magnificent!
Every week, hear all the top matches, including every Inter-Miami game.
Messi, up, over,
and get analysis and insight from our team of experts like former MVP Tony Meola.
He looks so confident. It's starting to look so easy.
It's Major League Soccer's biggest season ever, and you can experience it on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
The broadcast schedule.
Track it down. He'll play it for Jarvis with a little help from Slavin. Now Jarvis has it knocked away by Tavares. Good job by Seth Jarvis on John Tavares. Now Wall has to play it in the trapezoid as the Canes get it in deep. Labushkin for Tavares. Nylander has it deflected away. Burns looking for Gensel. That's chipped away. Now Bertuzzi can't handle it. And a chance for Gensel to get this in deep, and the Canes can make a change past the halfway point of the third period.
What impresses me most about the Aho line, because you look at those three players, not huge in stature, but they utilize their bodies so well to protect the puck at all times, Tripp.
Yeah, and I love the fact they tried to make a play at the offensive blue line, that gray area, but then twice with a one-goal lead, Aho and then Gensel made sure that they got it behind the Toronto defense.
Now Carolina with the puck in the Toronto zone. Kotkaniemi, Orlov, his shot, and Wall got a piece to knock it away. Kotkaniemi to the rebound. Sent across the rink. Orlov back for Kotkaniemi. A little too far for the Canes centerman. Then he'll drop it back, but a little misfire there by Drury, and that'll force Carolina out of the zone.
Another impactful shift from this fourth line. Orlov got all of that. That was a great save with the glove from Wall.
Now reaching forward is Bobby McMahon. He'll get to it. He'll send it into the Canes zone. Gregor and Chatfield fight for it. Nason is able to get it to Orlov, but Orlov intercepted by McCabe. Now Chatfield to a loose puck behind his net. Smart play by Kotkaniemi. Off the wall and out, so Carolina can complete a change. 8:20 left here in the third. Now Svechnikov with it, coming into the Leaf zone. He'll drag it out in front. Save made by Wall. Rebound comes free. Leafs can clear. They'll get it as far as the Canes blue line. And Bobby McMahon will head to the bench. And it'll be Jacob Slavin working this one in deep. Now Robertson batted out. Puck touched with a high stick from Carolina. And that'll stop play with 7:56 left here in the third period. As we head to break, Canes have a one-goal lead. You're listening to Carolina Hurricanes hockey on the Canes Radio Network.
Hi, my name is Alani. A little thing I like about the Spicy Deluxe sandwich is that you taste the crunch, you taste the pepper jack cheese melting, and you taste the spicy flavors in the sandwich. I'm telling you, 10 out of 10.
Hi, my name's Enrique. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's Spicy Deluxe sandwich is you get that rich flavor of the chicken and definitely
broadcast scheduled to air at this time on this channel is temporarily unavailable. We're working to restore the scheduled broadcast and expect to bring it to you
Local. Spectrum One is a big deal. You get Spectrum Internet with the most reliable internet speeds, free advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced security and privacy, and a free Spectrum Mobile Unlimited line with nationwide 5G included, all while saving big. For the big speed, big reliability, and big savings you want, get Spectrum One. Just $49.99 a month for 12 months. Visit spectrum.com/big deal for full details. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
When the Hurricanes play on the road, join our friend Shane Willis, although I believe he will be joining us in Pittsburgh. So join, he won't be?
I will not be.
Waste a good promo here. Join Stormy.
My apologies.
Join Stormy and the gang at Carolina Ale House. The next Canes watch party is at the Briar Creek location this Tuesday, March 26th. Carolina Ale House, exclusive sponsor of the Canes watch parties. And that's our reminder. Canes take on Pittsburgh. 7 o'clock face-off, 6:30 with the pregame show here on 99.9 The Fan and on Valley Sports South as Tripp and I return to the simulcast portion of the tour. Face-off at center ice as we resume play here in the third period. Kuznetsov wins it for the Leafs. We'll roll this one in. Anderson takes a look, and he'll melt it down right there with Robertson lurking in the area. 7:48 left in the third. 2-1 Hurricanes lead.
When you look with 7:48 remaining, Mike and Tripp, you know Toronto's going to come. They're going to open things up a little bit. They're going to be more aggressive, pinching down. I feel like the Hurricanes doing it right along the boards. The wingers really doing their job, could create an odd man rush to really end this game with a dagger.
We see if Carolina can take advantage of just that, as Domi will get to the loose puck, but proving ice is slippery, he'll fall. Leafs will keep it. Matthews spins from the right circle and puts a shot on that Anderson had to be ready for. Now Shea trying to clear. He'll get some help from Martinook. And out of the zone it goes. Teravainen had just enough to push it over the Canes' blue line, but right back in by Toronto. Pesce takes a look. He saw that it was Matthews. He'll fire at the length of the ice, but this will be icing on Carolina.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I think the Hurricanes have played a really fine hockey. Toronto has too. Austin Matthews, he's got his 58 goals, but he has impressed me as much as he ever has against Carolina because his game has been complete. I mean, when you think about his overall value, not just the ability to finish, he's been really good.
You think about a superstar's Trip. Every year they have to improve and become more complete, and Austin Matthews is doing that for the Leafs.
No doubt.
Face-off in the Canes zone, won by Toronto, but Teravainen will get to this, and then he'll get some help. Good play there by Shea. Now it's shipped up. Martinook on a break. Martinook comes in, and that's going to be elevated over the top of the net. Tavares hustles back to get just enough of Martinook.
And I think Wall got a piece of it with his shoulder. Wall has made a bunch of really big saves in this third period.
Now Toronto the other way. Robertson shot. That'll go wide and out of the zone.
And that's the break I was talking about right there. Two simple chips by the Carolina Hurricanes gives Jordan Martinook a partial breakaway.
Yep, the aggressive pinch from the Toronto defense and the bad board battles one that created.
Now Nylander almost forcing a turnover in the Kane zone, but Carolina will get it to Gensel. He'll chip it to Jarvis. Jarvis, he'll settle for a shot at the right face-off circle. Wall makes the save. Rebound cleared out. Domi will get it right back on a give and go and put a shot right on that Anderson will hang on to with 6:23 remaining here in the third period.
You know, this rotation and goal, you know, it's going to probably take more than one goaltender, but Freddie Anderson just continues to show that all indications are he can be the guy. Shane, we cover the Carolina Hurricanes, but who do you think Sheldon Keefe will have be his guy? Will it be Wall? Do you think it'll be Samsonov? What do you think?
The luxury Rod Brind'Amour has, because his decision is much easier because he has so much confidence in both guys. Sheldon Keefe has a decision to make of what he does in game one. I mean, the way Wall has played tonight, you've talked about the saves he made. I've loved his desperation. Even when he's not making a good save, the desperation type saves have been very good.
The one on Svechnikov, his most desperate save way back in the first period with the glove.
Play resumes. Canes will clear this out. And the Leafs have time to sort that out, but you talk about it. what had been, and Shane and I can joke about it, Chip, what had been a question mark a few months ago is now a definitive answer that the Canes trust no matter who they put in the pipes in the postseason. That's quite the luxury to have, although you got to think the way that it's going, the man who got the start here tonight would be your game one starter if things hold serve.
Oh, I mean, for me, listen, there's so much that can happen between now and then, and Kochetkov has been brilliant. But Anderson is just, since his return, he has been elite, probably caps of ELITE. It's been really fantastic to watch, and he's got a lot of work to do here because Toronto's going to get their chances late.
5:54 left in the third. Carolina just iced the puck, so face off back in Anderson's zone. Toronto wins the draw away from Stahl. Working at the point. And Brody's shot deflects into the corner to the left of Anderson. Tavares is given a shove by Stahl. Nylander trying to step out. Tavares gets one out in front. That might have been blocked by Stahl and kicked away by Anderson. Anderson trying to get to his skates as he sprawled to make the save. Martinook will flip this one back into the Leafs' end. Canes were able to clear. Now Nylander, he can't handle it, and Martinook with it. He'll drop this one for Jarvis. Jarvis gives a hard shove by Liljegren, and then another one from Timothy Liljegren, and Jarvis mixing it up behind the play now.
Really good play from Liljegren, but Orlov started that at his own blue line like Shane was talking about, even with the lead. You've got to be tight. You've got to take away your time and space and think aggressively if you have support like he did.
Anderson had his good friend Austin Matthews bearing down on him. He's able to clear. Now Jarvis out for Aho. Aho spinning in the Leafs zone along the left wing boards. He'll try to go deep, but Joel Edmondson will interrupt. 4:45 left here in the third.
Another great, smart play by Jake Gensel to get pucks out on the boards. Just watching him as a young player, if you're watching this game, watch how Jake Gensel runs the boards, what he does every time he gets the puck.
Now a chance for the Leafs. They'll work it into the Canes zone. Matthews tries to get to it. Orlov with a brilliant defensive play at the end of his shift to knock it away.
Yeah, the Hurricanes' awareness of where Austin Powers is, I know he factored in on Toronto's goal, has been really noteworthy.
It's not groovy, baby, when he's on the ice. So if you're the opposition, now Domi with it. Low shot put right on, and a monstrous save by Frederik Andersen.
Domi is playing the back. I mean, you guys called Emmy award-winning broadcast, when he was here in Game 7 against Boston. This is the best I've seen Max Domi look, I think, since he had his career highs in Montreal.
A long shot at the Canes blue line by Kemp is caught and hung on to by Anderson. And we will come down the stretch. 3:53 left in the third. Carolina with a 2-1 lead over the Maple Leafs. You're listening to Hurricanes Hockey on the Canes Radio Network.
Hear that? That's the sound of new digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Now you can play right from your phone and win real cash prizes. It may all sound new, but winning, oh yeah, big money, is as thrilling as ever. Register to play digital instants for a whole new way to win. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instants for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Pepsi Zero Sugar has taken its flavor to the next level. A Zero Sugar Cola has never tasted this good. But we don't expect you to take our word for it, so we're putting it to the test, starting with me. My mouth is watering already, so I think we can skip the drum roll and get right to the main event. Cue the fireworks. We have an official best Zero Sugar ever. It's delicious, it's refreshing, and it's so good you'll need to try it for yourself. Trust me. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero never tasted so good. That's what I like.
For almost a decade, the Hurricanes have trusted their t-shirt needs with Cardinal Apparel. Carolina Hurricanes alumni Shane Willis here to tell you Cardinal Apparel has expanded and relocated to better serve their clients across the state. Formerly known as Raleigh Screen Print, Cardinal Apparel will produce high-quality screen printing while working directly with customers. Don't waste your time online trying to order through third-party vendors. Save money and time working with Cardinal Apparel. Visit cardinalapparel.com to start your order today.
Season ticket plans for the 2024-25 season on sale now. Visit hurricanes.com/STM for more information. Playoff tickets coming soon for the Carolina Hurricanes as well. Alongside Trip Tracy and Shane Willis, Mike Maniscalco here on your Canes Radio Network. Set it up for you quick. 3:53 left in the third. Canes up 2-1.
My quick point, this Rod, I thought very cerebrally, right with about this left on the clock, did not pull the goaltender. He waited about a minute. That led to the extra attacker going Washington. Sheldon Keefe doing the same.
As Aho wins the draw, Carolina forces Liljegren back into his own zone, and now one touch out. Leafs trying to work their way into the Canes, then Burns, talk about two veterans there, takes it away from Tavares, and then Burns spins this one, and Wall has to play it, so no icing.
Brent Burns has been very good defensively tonight with his footwork and his stick. He's been very good not getting beat by these Leafs players who are very talented.
Excellent defensive play in the middle of the rink by Gensel on Bertuzzi, but Toronto still works the puck into the Kane zone, and a penalty coming up to Carolina as Nylander went down with a feather touch out in front, and a power play for the Leafs with 3:15 left.
A couple 50-50 pucks. The Leafs win those battles, and eventually Burns lost positioning.
Number 8, Carolina, minor tripping.
With the elusive nature of Nylander. And this one was a penalty. I didn't think it was on Burns late in the first period.
As he reaches with his stick to poke it away, it just gets underneath Nylander's one skate and knocks him to the ice. Again, a call, as you mentioned, Tripp, it is a penalty. But the confidence that the Hurricanes have with the penalty killing unit,
I almost don't mind it, because now, with the penalty kill, you don't want to be shorthanded. You prefer not to be.
With the firepower, does Toronto pull the goaltender for 6-on-4?
Not with 3:15 left when you can ice the puck for free. But, hey, in the comeback last Saturday in Toronto, Carolina did with the power play. Now, they were down 2 goals, and Aho scored his first of 2 on the man advantage. And they pulled the goaltender in this situation.
I think, not to be an analyst, but you can say right or wrong on this one, Trip. Probably with 2 minutes left, if they don't have anything going on this power play, you might see Wall head to the bench for the extra attacker. Now it's Toronto working the puck into the Kane zone. Tavares trying to get to it. Puck behind the Canes net. In between the net and the end boards, and Matthews is able to get this to Nylander. Nylander will lose it to Jarvis, and then Jarvis delivers the puck to Pesce, and he'll hammer this the length of the ice.
I agree with not pulling him yet, because you're going to finish the game with 2 power plays, basically, because you're going to pull the goaltender for the final part of this period, and you're going to have a 6-on-5. He's going now to give him the 6-on-4 with a minute to go in this power play.
As Orlov tries to take it away from Tavares, Nylander fighting for it. It comes out in front. With a good stick, and then Anderson will cover up the loose puck at the side of the net. Face-off coming up with 2:06 remaining here in the third period. 52 seconds left in the penalty to Brent Burns.
We might see a timeout here. Let's see if Sheldon Keefe uses it. Aho did a tremendous job of going down with his stick completely parallel on the ice to get in the passing lane. Toronto will call their timeout. 52 seconds left in this power play, and I've loved Aho defensively in this game. I really have.
The Hurricanes' penalty kill is so aggressive, and there's just nowhere to go. If you're not clicking on your power play, moving it to the next guy, being a step ahead, if you will, you have no chance to beat this penalty kill the way they move and how aggressive they are. Trying to set up a couple different plays, one off of the face-off, and then what do you do after the initial shot? Where are you setting up? What are you looking for?
And by the way, guys, you hope it gets to this point. Now this can be a 6-on-4, but Burns being in the box, good chance, if hopefully we get to this point, you're going to have 3 defensemen on the ice. So that's something to think about if we get to that point. You think, do you want 2 possible centermen if Jordan Staal gets booted here in the face-off circle? And I think you've got it, because you've got Jarvis, and if Staal ever got booted, it's Jarvis's power side as a righty against Tavares.
No, it'll be Staal to take the draw against Tavares, and it's worked out by Riley. Now Matthews with it along the right wing boards, back to Liljegren, back to Matthews. Extra attacker out for the Leafs, and they're on the power play. So 6-on-4, and Matthews will give it away, and Jarvis banks it off the boards, and it hits the post. Oh, he can try that 1,000 times and never do it again. He caught the post flush. Now it's worked back into the Kane zone. Orlov hammers it. Domi keeps it in along the half wall. Into the corner to the left of Anderson. Slavin fighting for it. Matthews is in there. Stahl's in there. All four Canes penalty killers are there. Now drifting back above the goal line. It works its way to Liljegren. Liljegren looks for traffic. He'll get it to Riley. Riley to Matthews across the blue paint. Nobody home. Out of the box comes Burns. And Morgan Riley fumbles with the puck, but he's able to get it in deep.
Burns is a forward like he was early in his career on this shift.
Now Riley. He'll keep it in. Across for Liljegren. Stick to the puck from Stahl. And Burns banks it high off the glass. And chasing after it is Jarvis. Jarvis into the Toronto zone. By himself. Empty net. Trying to center it for Aho. That'll be intercepted. And the Leafs turn it the other way. 45 seconds to go. Carolina up 2-1. And the puck's given away by Nylander, and Gensel will flip this, but it'll make it all the way back for icing on Carolina with 38.9 seconds remaining here in the third.
This is a play trip where you don't want to do it, but does Rod call a timeout here to rest his players?
Just what I was thinking about. Now Toronto's going to make a change. Fresh troops. All their big boys are on the bench. So I think Rod holds on to his timeout here because you don't have, not to say that Toronto doesn't have balance, but you don't have Matthews on the ice. So I think you roll with it.
I'm not sure if you can call a timeout after an icing anymore anyways.
He couldn't do it after an icing. I'm curious about that decision, and Keefe had already used his.
And now a chance for the Leafs off the draw. And Anderson is stout out front with Holmberg with a second whack there. Matthews stayed on the ice for Toronto.
So you couldn't off of icing. Now he'd have a decision to make, but I don't think you want to give. I think Sheldon Keefe is going right back with his big boys here. This is not maximum rest, but now there's just 31 seconds left. Anderson makes another huge save and holds on with Bertuzzi lurking in front.
Two of the best face-off guys in the National Hockey League will go head-to-head in Tavares and Jordan Stahl. Stahl on his strong side.
31.1 seconds left. Stahl knocks it back. Carolina trying to clear. Along the right wing boards it goes. Slavin fighting for it. Still along the wall. 20 seconds left. Puck comes free. Bertuzzi. He'll drop it. Riley. It'll be deflected. And Tavares will get to it. Behind the net, Nylander trying to play it. Kane's trying to get a stick to it. Teravainen can't. Settled in. Looking out in front. Carolina will knock this to safety. 4 seconds left. 3 seconds left. 2 seconds left. And it's over. Carolina with a 2-1 win over Toronto tonight. What a performance from Frederik Andersen. The Canes, 2 goals in the first, and he makes it stand up.
I see this as a great win. Freddie Andersen continues to write this unbelievable script. For me, he would be the first star. The penalty killing does it again. Your power play gets the goal that is the difference in the hockey game, and you've got to say it again, Shane. The penalty kill for Carolina was absolutely exquisite against the high-flying Toronto power play throughout the course of this hockey game. Carolina's special teams, huge part of the difference in winning, leading to a surge.
You have to lean and look at the power play as well. Getting a huge goal in the first period for them on the power play, something they didn't have over the past few games at a key moment. And the penalty kill could always be one of the stars of the night, as you mentioned, Tripp. But what I love about this, because you look at Toronto and you talk about where they are, and even the game in D.C., we talked about this after. Every single one of these games is playoff preparation for the Hurricanes. They get a huge win here in a very tough situation against the Leafs.
Yeah, because I think the Leafs are going to feel really good about the way they play. It was a well-contested hockey game. It's just that simple. I thought Carolina had the significantly better first period. It's tough to chase in the NHL. You needed to play 60. I just think this is a really gutsy win. But even with the Carolina power play having the game-winning goal, I don't know how many years it's been since I said with the skill level that has always been there in the Toronto man advantage, the Carolina's power play looked better. It looked like the much more dangerous power play. A lot of credit to the Carolina kill for that.
Well, we'll listen in on the 3 stars here tonight for Carolina. I'm with you, Tripp. I think that Frederik Andersen is the #1 star with 31 saves here tonight. But let's listen in to the public address.
I'm going to say Brady Shea gets one.
I would say you give Sebastian Aho who had the game winner one. We'll find out.
And his contest really 3 stars of the game presented by Lenovo. The third star of the game from the Carolina Hurricanes with a goal tonight, number 76, Brady Shea.
Check one off for
Check one.
Shane Willis. With that into
second star of the game
intuition,
from the
you should
Carolina
be
Hurricanes
responsible.
with the game-winning goal, number 20.
Check two.
Sebastian Aho.
You'd almost think we do this for a living sometimes, guys.
And I believe Chip Tracy has the number 1
And
star.
the first star of the game from the Carolina Hurricanes with 32 saves in goal, number 31, Frederick Anderson.
Kochetkov has been awesome since mid-December, a major part of Carolina's success. Spencer Martin, there's just an aura of invincibility when Frederick Anderson is in the net.
And Tripp, I want to talk about Freddie Anderson because you look at the injury that he faced. It wasn't your normal hockey injury. The way that he studied and the homework he did, surrounded by this organization and his family coming over to spend time with him, but the realization of what your career and what life means to you, a guy coming back and how driven he is in this situation, the way he's played has been amazing since the first game he stepped back in that crease.
Yeah, I think about it. You know, I'm getting reflective now, but his first month as a Hurricane, he was the NHL second star with a new team, the NHL second star of the month. I think he went 8-0. The Canes went 9-0.
Yep.
I thought he should have been the first star. I think it was either McDavid or Ovechkin because of what he did with a new team. And his last win of the month, I want to say, was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, or it was right there towards the end of the month. And so I see this as just a signature Frederick Anderson win. I thought Wall was great on the other side, too, to shut the door after the Aho bounce off the McCabe skate.
Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to Sirius XM FC 157.
The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back, stick handles to the backhand, moves in front, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
And coming up just a bit short in Carolina, 2-1 the Canes win over the Leafs. Welcome to the post-game show, Leafs Game Night. Jim Taddy, Dave Feschuk from the Toronto Star, and, of course, Jimmy Ralph, kind enough to hang around. Ralphie, let's pick up on what you said about Joseph Wall. 41 of 43, he stopped, and, I mean, there were some great opportunities. He kept them in that game, no question about it. Looked like his old self, didn't he?
Yeah, and you know, the other side is, you know, once you go down 2-0 to Carolina in the first period, you almost feel like you're in overtime the rest of the game from a goaltender standpoint. You know, you give up another one and it's done. You know, he hasn't received a lot of goal support. I think coming into the game was something like 3.11 goals for, but that included the 7 goals that the Leafs scored in Washington his last time out. So, you know, and remember the back-to-back losses to Boston. Leafs scored a goal in each of those 2 losses as well. So, you know, the win-loss record may not be where you want it right now, but I thought that was a huge step for Joseph Wall. I think there were more positives out of this game than negatives, despite the fact you show up in the loss column in the standings.
Well, Ralphie, you know, the thing that impressed me, impresses me about Carolina is, you know, they may not have like the big name goal scorers, but man, do they move the puck side to side as well as any team in this league. And didn't you, I mean, I wanted to get your observation of Wall. If you were worried at all about that high ankle sprain coming back to haunt him, the way he was pushing off side to side, making these incredible saves, just going, you know, from one post to the other, I just thought it was incredible tonight.
Yeah, and you know what, David? I think you have to go back to the game against the Ottawa Senators that he got injured in back in November. To how many times he made those saves going post to post. because that game that he got hurt in, he was absolutely unbelievable. This is as long ago as that seems right now. But, I like that. Essentially what it comes down to is specialty teams again. If you want to put it in that category, I realize it was a bit of a fluke goal bouncing in off Jake McCabe. But the Leafs power play, again, failed to come up at an opportune time that could turn a game around. And we saw that in Philadelphia when they tried to come back on the Flyers in the third period. So many of these games end up, they're one-goal differences. And, man, do those specialty teams play a huge part in that.
Well, and just to close off on Wall, stopped a penalty shot, breakaway on a penalty kill situation for Carolina early in the third. I mean, certainly earned his money. And in this game, I mean, a sloppy start by the Leafs, no question about that. But after that, fun to watch. It sort of gave you a playoff sort of preview, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you look at the second of back-to-backs, and it was a pretty emotional win last night against the Edmonton Oilers. There was such hype to it. I know anytime you look at the Rangers and Islanders, after they play each other, I don't think their records the next game is very good because there's so much emotion and hype that goes into some of those matchups. So from a Leafs standpoint, in a 6 o'clock start as well, you could see why they might have been a little dopey out of the gate. Jake McCabe, he has the giveaway on the first goal, and the second one bounces in off him. So, the Leafs had their moments where they served up some great opportunities. But, at the same time, give Freddie Anderson credit. His 10-1 on the year now, or 11-1, something like that. Goals against under 2. You got to give some credit there because the Leafs had their opportunities, and Freddie Anderson was. Pretty much matching Joseph Wall for save down the stretch.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Ralph. I mean, Freddie Anderson, 6-0 since coming back off more than 4 months off, dealing with that really scary blood clot issue. And I know there's a lot of Leafs in that locker room right now that think very highly of Freddie Anderson. Obviously, fourth on the all-time Maple Leafs win list for goaltenders, Jim. But I wanted to ask you about the guy who beat Freddie Anderson tonight and kept that shutout list streak for the Maple Leafs alive. At now 233 games, the Leafs have not been shut out. Nick Robertson. You talk about emotional highs and lows. I mean, he had some pretty low moments in this game, taking an ill-advised high stick penalty, the turnover that led to the penalty that Holmberg picked up that led to the power play goal for Carolina. Nick Robertson had his struggles, but he did come through and show everybody why the Leafs put him in the lineup, and that is because he's got a shot unlike very few other players in this league, a really elite release. I certainly had that, Ralphie, putting one past Freddie Anderson. What did you make of Robertson tonight?
Yeah, and to me, David, he just looks like a guy that's trying to do too much. That he thinks to stay in the lineup, he's got to do something spectacular all the time. And you mentioned the giveaway in his own zone. It was a little toe drag move that he tried to make along the boards. Instead of just chipping it out and going after it, trying to create something in his own end. And I think that's where it's difficult for him. He knows and you don't want him to be a one-dimensional player. But I know he's a point producer. He's a goal scorer. And you think if you're not doing that, you're not going to stay in the lineup. And there is even a play last night against Edmonton in the second period where he was about 5 feet from the red line and stopped, pulled up, and then tried to make a little bank pass. It ends up going for icing. They've got to stay on the ice. The fourth line stayed out. And guess who comes over the boards for the Oilers? When you got the long change in the second period. So there's all these little plays in the game that, sometimes Nick Robertson has just got to say, look, there's nothing here. There's no play. We don't have to be spectacular to get the puck out of our own end. And, it's easy to say when, it's not my career that I'm talking about, that I have to produce a certain amount to stay in the lineup. But that's what I just find with Nick Robertson. And even, the ill-advised high stick, there's so many other ways to handle that. And in fact, if you're successful getting the puck before the opposition, there's going to be a whistle because it was high stick, So right. There's the little plays like that where the decision making, I think, has cost him a little bit. But you're right. I mean, there's, he scored at home against Carolina as well, with a quick shot. So, the ability's there, but you kind of want everything to be a little more rounded, or well-rounded, and a little more consistent, especially handling the puck on his own end.
Ralphie, a couple of questions on the blue line. First of all, Dave and I talked quite a bit during the pregame and between periods on Edmondson and how big a factor he is back there. What's your read on what he supplies? I mean, he's just a big guy that reacts very quickly.
Yeah, you love it. I mean, and Joe brought up, you watch this. Look at the size of his skates. I mean, like really, like he turns sideways. And I mean, that's Joseph Wall should just take the top part of the net and let Edmondson's skates take the bottom because he can. He's a big body back there, but I think what you really like is there's that nastiness. That's what you loved about Luke Schenn when he came in last year. But now you've got, with Edmondson now, if you've got Benoit in the lineup, if you've got McCabe in the lineup, or Lyubushkin, I mean, you've got some guys that aren't afraid to stand guys up along the boards, and make those big hits and be a little bit nasty. And, maybe the odds of all of them being in the lineup at the same time are pretty slim. But I just think he keeps teams honest, whether it's in front of the net or it's battling for loose pucks along the boards.
And what did you make of the other pairings that they went with tonight? Riley Lyubushkin and Brody and McCabe.
Brody McCabe, I mean, you felt for TJ Brody. He had some struggles, sits out 2 games, and it's Jake McCabe's turnover that ends up early in the game in the back of the net. Brody's got another minus. I thought they were okay. I thought they got caught way too much. And all the units, not Edmondson's, but, you saw Timothy Liljegren a few times get caught up ice pinching, Morgan Riley as well. So, I don't think they looked as zoned in defensively as we've seen them before. But like we said, you've sort of got to play into it, the back-to-back games and the travel. And, I think going into this weekend, you saw, wow, Edmonton and Carolina, those are going to be tough. And, you dominate one game and almost find a way to get something out of the second one.
So 12 games to go, Ralphie. Sheldon Keefe's talked about basically splitting them between the 2 goaltenders here with Joseph Wall and Ilya Samsonov. I mean, how does that sound to you when you consider where we are with the goaltending situation in Leafland?
You know what? I'd throw Martin Jones in for another start too. If he's up here since the trade deadline, I don't think it serves anybody's purpose to have a third goalie and just go into the postseason where it's been I know he goes in for a few minutes of relief last night, but what was his last start? I think it was Vegas was his last start. So to me, you kind of defeat the purpose of keeping him around if he's just going to practice. I think whether it's even the last game of the regular season, if it's a nothing game, maybe get him in there and just so that should you need him at a crucial time in the postseason, that we're not talking about 2 or 3 months between starts.
And the assumption that Samsonov is okay, you did the game last night. I mean, that was a scary look. And, much like earlier when Wall went out, you don't really know what the injury is. They seem to be pretty optimistic about it.
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe last night, it was, I don't know whether you want to call it being cute, where they said, it's not, he said it's not as bad as I first feared, or we thought it was at first. And they said, well, how bad was it? And he said, well, I know, I'm just not going to talk about it. So it's, I thought it was an interesting answer. It almost seemed like an inside joke that Samsonov went through, but hopefully that's the case, and you can gear up to at least get 2 guys ready for April.
Ralphie, you talked about we've talked about some of the positives on a loss like this. Obviously, a lot of fight shown by the Maple Leafs, but if you're sort of dwelling on this thing that continues to plague them on the penalty kill, we saw you used Matthews out there a little bit with a man short, but of course, you still give up a penalty kill goal. It's been an all too common occurrence. You're 26th in the league in penalty kill efficiency, which is a long way from where they want to be. Are you seeing anything in particular that concerns you, or what do you make of this struggle? It's really been season long and really just never seems to let up.
I would say they're more effective, and I thought this with Carolina on the Leafs power plays were very aggressive on the penalty kill. This wasn't the collapse and stand still and let people kind of try to knife through and find lanes and everything else. I thought the Leafs, when they had their better stretches this year, they were aggressive. They forced the opposition to move the puck quickly, and I think that's, Joe and I were talking in the intermission that, if opposing teams are looking at the Leafs power play and how to defend against them, just pressure them. The more time and space you give certain skilled players, they're going to burn you. So I just find that now, because they've gone through this stretch. I mean, it really hasn't been great all year, but they get passive where everybody wants to collapse, and you end up giving skilled players too much time and space to make plays. So easier said than done to fix it. And you've got to remember, you got to throw in, like, even last night, Edmonton scores in the power play with the goalie pulled. Carolina did that to the Leafs as well. So those are going to fall into the stats. They're still specialty team goals, but some strange occurrences. But certainly you've got to be able to, if the power play doesn't catch fire in the postseason, you've got to at least have your specialty teams be even. You can't be losing games every night because you were 0 for 3 on the power play and 2 for 3 in the penalty kill, and you lose another 1-goal game.
And how do you feel about it? Obviously, with Järnkrok out, with Marner still out, these two guys have been two of the top 3 ice time guys, shorthanded for the Maple Leafs among forwards. What do you think about the idea of using Matthews out there? Now, you're using him a lot on the power play already. Obviously, you're using him an awful lot on 5-on-5. Is that too much of a workload in your mind for Sheldon Keefe to heap on number 34? Or, given his obvious skill set on the defensive side of the puck, does that make sense to you to use Matthews on the penalty kill, at least occasionally on key kills? How do you see it, Ralphie?
Well, I would go more situational, David. I think if you're up a goal or two, I don't think there's a need to do it. But if you think you might need a spark, and whether it's Nylander, Marner, or Matthews, and you've got to put some dangerous guys out there, and the opportunity you get an on-man rush, I think that's when you do it. I think it's more going to be based on the score than anything else. Where you say, okay, we're down 2, we're killing a penalty, let's throw our big boys out, and because if we get an opportunity shorthanded, we got to try to cash in on it. So. That's although the one thing Joe and I sat, got put pen to paper, and we said, okay, everybody's healthy going into the playoffs. Write out your lineup: 4 lines, 6 defense, and we got through it. We were actually pretty happy until we realized that Bobby McMahon isn't in there. So now let's throw that out and start all over again. Because you're saying, okay, you get Järnkrok back, you get Marner back. Okay, how are the lines? You're going to move the guys around, and we're going, wait a minute. we're missing somebody. So, but if you're a Leaf fan, it's pretty fun to do. Instead of just saying, look, this is all we got, they got to play. There are a lot of different options and combinations you can throw out. And but, of course, a big part of that is getting Marner and Järnkrok back healthy.
Yeah, let's end on that. I mean, there's versatility with that lineup. You've got 3 goalies. We can remember going into the playoffs and didn't know who was going to carry the load. The defense is deep, and up front you've got multiple looks. This is as versatile as they've ever been.
Yeah, and now it's just a matter of finding the right combinations and the right matchups. And we were talking, Joe and I were talking again before the game about, you'll remember the playoff runs that John Druce had for the Washington Capitals, Chris Kontos had for the LA Kings. And you're saying, you know what, Bobby McMahon is one of those guys, that you could see that in a series, at the very least, become Lonnie Bohannes, like the Leafs had in the late 90s, playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. And that was sort of through a fluke that you found you had this guy that could score at this level. You'll remember it was right after Morgan Riley was suspended for the Ottawa game. They've got St. Louis at home. McMahon wasn't supposed to be in the lineup, but because Tavares and Marner were out with the flu as well, he gets in, scores 3 goals, and you go, wow. We're talking about all the things you need at the trade deadline, which includes depth scoring, and there he is. He didn't have to give anything up to get him. So, but I think that's where you get a little bit excited where you're going, boy, they've got some guys that could be the difference in a playoff series, even though Joe and I didn't have them in the lineup. We were screwing around.
Ralphie, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
All right, take care. 2-1, Carolina wins over the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. The game in Carolina, of course, against the Canes. We'll be back with more. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, sorry, cash only. Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, we don't accept foot money here. That's
Thanks,
how he
Harold.
talks. But now
Weather
I'm
reports
starving, and I'm
don't
looking
matter
for
when
something
you
to
drive
eat.
a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Ugh, I need a vacation.
Me too. But where and when?
Like now?
Maybe you're onto something. Let me check Sunwing Vacations.
Yes, sunwing.ca. What? Beach? Please. A last-minute vacay to Cuba starting at $785? Sun, sea, sand, here we come.
With March deals this low, you just gotta say book it and go. Book with your local travel agent or...
For juicy turkey, head to Farm Boy. Premium Farm Boy fresh turkey from the Hayter Farm in Dashville, Ontario is grain-fed for unbeatable taste. Because it's fresh, there's no moisture robbing thine, so your turkey is guaranteed naturally moist and tender. For delicious Easter ham, pick up a fully cooked Farm Boy bone-in Ontario ham, slow smoked over real hardwood in Dundas, Ontario, for succulent texture and distinctively sweet flavor. When quality counts, count on Farm Boy. It's all about the food.
Leafs game night. Carolina wins 2-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jim Taddy, Dave Feschek from the Toronto Star with you. So, you alluded to, Dave, Mitch Marner, and I'm going to rely on your reporting skills, your on-scene reporting skills. They seem to have downplayed quite a bit. I mean, if it's a high ankle sprain, that's weeks, and they don't seem to be worried about it. At least they're not projecting that. What's your read on that situation?
Yeah, my read on it is they are not particularly concerned. They're just making sure it heals, right? I mean, I think if he had to play today, he could have played today, but they're looking longer game here. They don't want it to recur, and so they're being very cautious with it, and they're giving him the time that he needs to come back from it. And why not? I mean, you're locked into it. You're locked into third place. It makes complete sense. You'd be really silly to rush Mitch Marner back. I mean, there's plenty of time here to get back up to speed. 12 more games to go. I get the feeling that he's not going to be too many more games out. That's not based on information, more just reading the tea leaves of what you're hearing. But we shall see. It's I know that they thought he maybe was ready, and then they kind of took him a couple of steps back after he'd been skating. They got him off the ice for a while. So we'll see where it goes. But it's not, to me, it's not a playoff concern. It's really just about when and how many games he'll have when he comes back.
I really like this game. To me, it was like a playoff game in that you can't give the other team anything, and if they cash in on it, then you've got a big uphill climb because they're not going to give you anything the rest of the way. And I think that really describes what the Leafs are trying to claw back against tonight. They did get the goal on Robertson, which was kind of an interesting play. It was sort of an ad-lib play, but it worked. But all the stuff that they were trying, and Freddie Anderson had a lot to say about it, couldn't work. And so you have to be opportunistic is what I'm trying to say, and they were not.
No, they weren't, but it was a hell of a game. I mean, you talk about games. I mean, we always talk about, does the NHL need more scoring? Scoring has been up these last few years. This is a game that proves you don't need more scoring. 2-1 can be riveting, and this was a riveting hockey game. When you've got, Joseph Woll doing what he was doing. I mean, after allowing 2 goals in the first period, I believe it was 30 straight saves he made, and I was counting them up. I mean, I think there were 4 breakaways if you count the penalty shot from Jake Gensel. Gensel had another breakaway in the first. There was the Stahl shorthanded breakaway in the second. There was the Martinook breakaway in the third. Joseph Woll, of course, stops them all on top of a bunch of side-to-side diving, showstoppers that really, made this a hell of a goaltending show between him and Freddie Anderson. So, yeah, absolutely entertaining product tonight. After a really slow first period for the Maple Leafs, a nice bounce back. They did not cash in, but they certainly, showed some life, and that I thought was the most important thing.
The Carolina 2-on-1s, there's a lot that were successfully completed in the lateral pass, and Morgan Riley seemed to break up a lot of them. I mean, if I don't have the stat in front of me on the outnumbered chances, but it had to be pretty big.
Yeah, they're that good. They are an incredible quick trigger, transition team. Like if you make a mistake, they're coming right back at you with numbers on the fly. And I really believe, like, we watch a lot of hockey, Jim, and I haven't been as impressed with the side-to-side passing, the cross-ice passing of the Carolina Hurricanes tonight as I've been with any team all season. Like they were incredible. And you're right. If not for Morgan Rielly breaking up a bunch of those, it would have been an even tougher night for Joseph Woll. But he certainly had to go post to post on a number of occasions to repel these great chances by the Carolina Hurricanes, and it was something to watch, man. I think the goaltending students out there will be looking up the tape of this one from Joseph Woll, because he was textbook in the way he kept his balance with incredible athletic movement from post to post, and wow, something to behold, and definitely a great. If you want to take one thing away from this game, Jim, to me that's it. It's just that Joseph Woll looks like he's on the road back if he's not already there.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Just looking at Carolina's, forward unit, and there's a bit of a drop off into the fourth line, but those top three lines, you could see the Kuznetsov ad was just really smart. Those top three lines are basically, for all intents and purposes, all the same. I mean, it comes at you in a wave.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they don't have the guy that's going to win the Hart Trophy. They don't have like the superstar, but they've got a lot of stars. They've got a lot of guys that can hurt you. They got a lot of guys that you do not want to see on the business end of a 2-on-1 because they can cash them. And you're right. It's definitely an offense by committee for the Carolina Hurricanes, but it's a darn good committee and it's very deep. So, we know they've had their troubles in the playoffs. We know they've had a hard time getting over the hump, but when you look at their regular season results these past handful of years, there's not many teams in the league that have been better, and you got to believe that bodes well for this team as they head into the playoffs in second place in the Metro.
Joseph Woll tonight stopped 41-43. After the game, was asked about the game's atmosphere.
Playoff type feel in this arena and the crowd into it and everything, and it just comes down to a goal. So I thought we played well and gave ourselves the opportunities, and I thought Freddie had a good game, so it just comes down to a goal.
This season high amount of saves for you. How much did being refreshed, getting in here early and kind of help kind of keep your team in it?
Yeah, it's nice. When you have three goalies, you're afforded to have some flexibility in that way, and it was nice. Got a good night's sleep and was able to come and try my best and give our team the best chance to win. You mentioned the playoff environment. Do you look at the opponent and where you guys are this season as like maybe a measuring stick as you kind of shift from here to kind of focusing towards now in the playoffs? Yeah, I think it's nice when you get to play, teams that are among the best in the league, and from my standpoint, it's a lot of fun to be able to play, high-intensity games like that, and it's always a good experience. It's hard to isolate one save, but there was one where you cut across to get the glove on Sech to cover. What have you seen there in that situation? Just in the moment, I'm not thinking too much, just reacting and trying to get everything I can behind it. I think there's also one on the PK where Aho's alone, and you're kind of like, are you kind of figuring out if you should get up, go back down, or anticipate the pass and try to cut across to make that pass there? To be honest, I don't remember that one. Yeah.
So we're talking about all the breakaway saves, but the one that David Alter asked him about, Svechnikov at the side of the net with the glove save, he's fully extended. That was superb as well. And they also got into, this is the luxury of having three goalies. So if they only had two, he would have been on the bench last night. He would have had to finish the game and then get on the plane with the rest of the team and start tonight, which I don't know, if that, and they'd have to call somebody up, right, to back him up.
Yeah.
Well, so they don't have to do that. Jones finishes the game. They send him to Carolina early. I mean, that is just brilliant.
It's really smart management, isn't it? It really is. And yeah, I think Ralphie's right about keeping Jones in the mix because, looking back, he was correct in his recollection that Jones's most recent start outside of those garbage minutes last night against Edmonton when Samsonov got hurt was way back more than a month ago against the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's been a while for Martin Jones, and to Ralphie's point, and I think it's an astute one, especially given his experience as a goaltender. you need to keep this guy sharp. Like, it can't just be, he's hanging around practicing all the time. You've got 12 games to go here. You have to believe that. And I think Sheldon Keefe did allude to this last night. He didn't specifically say it, but he certainly mentioned that he wants to keep Jones in the mix as he splits the majority of these games down the stretch between Samsonov and Wall. But hey, man, it's when you talk about the amount of uncertainty that has been around this position for this team over the past handful of years. This is about as good as it's been heading into the playoffs, I think, in quite some time, Ralphie, or Tatman, is this three-man, three-headed unit here that has been awfully efficient and is showing signs that it can really take the Maple Leafs a long way if indeed they allow it to.
Well, under the current regime, I mean, I don't recall them ever having three goalies that were all healthy and contributing. I can remember them riding one right into the ground, and that goes even back to Freddie Anderson.
Exactly.
And, it's kind of an interesting set of circumstances that way, and it's like an embarrassment of riches almost. You hope that Samsonov heals quickly and gets back into action this week. But Jones came in last night, made a couple of big saves in a game that wasn't. It seemed like it was over, but maybe it wasn't. So credit to Jones there for being sharp and finishing off a great night for the Leafs.
Well, the guy's a great pro, right? You don't stick around as long as Martin Jones has stuck around in the NHL without being a consummate pro. Like, you forget, like the guy was in the playoffs last year. I mean, with Seattle, he's played a lot of playoff hockey in his career. He's played a lot of hockey in his career. Guy was drafted back in, he wasn't even drafted. He was came into the league, I guess I should say, in 2013. So it's been more than 10 years he's been around. It's great to have him. It's a great luxury. And the Maple Leafs, I think, are using it, pretty astutely here. So all good signs. To your point, we don't know about Samsonov. It certainly didn't sound as though the coach was particularly concerned about it, even though it did look concerning. So we'll take it from there. But a very good three-guy rotation here as the Leafs head toward the playoffs.
More post-game sound. This is Coach Keefe on the difference between the two teams.
Puck went in off our skate and into our net.
Where do you try to fix maybe some of the offensive things that happened in that game? Is it just isolated to this, or is it just the fatigue that came from playing the night before?
Playing against one of the best defensive teams in the league, they're going to make it hard on you. We had more than enough chances to score, well, more than one tonight.
What do you make of the teams on the power play? There's been a bit of a struggle as late. What do you think? Is it a personnel thing? Is it missing Mitch Marner? What do you think?
Playing against one of the league's best penalty kills, they make it hard on you. We had some chances and didn't go in for us, but they don't give you much.
What would you make of how TJ played in his first game back here?
He was fine.
Ooh, almost sounding like Bill Belichick.
That did. That did get a little Belichickian, kind of repeating the same phrasing and getting a little short there in the post game. But you understand why? I mean, he made his point. He made his point. He didn't want to nitpick this loss. Was the point, right?
It's hard to be critical of this performance. I mean, obviously the start wasn't there, but the rest of it was fine. It's just they just couldn't come up with a goal, but not through lack of trying.
No, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't be if I was coaching this team, and there's no way I would be. But in some alternate universe, I think that, and just watching good coaches operate over the years, Jim, you don't want to nitpick really good efforts by a team, especially with the way this team is playing on the second night of a back-to-back after a really emotional win against Edmonton on home ice less than 24 hours before. They come in, a bit of a flat first period, you go down 2-0. But from there, they gave the coach everything you could ask for, except more pucks behind Freddie Anderson. Obviously, just get the one behind him. But they had all kinds of chances, as you pointed out rightly. They had plenty of energy. They had the forecheck was working. They were getting some serious pressure in the Carolina zone. But of course, you got to expect that the Carolina Hurricanes are going to come back the other way plenty of times. You're not going to just stop the Carolina Hurricanes from coming back your way, no matter how well you play. So you got to be able to take on that water. And certainly it helps to have a goaltender who is sharp as Joseph Wall. But there was a lot of other positives on the defensive side of the puck tonight for me. I thought the 6D played pretty well. Morgan Riley especially was really good. Joel Edmondson was great. There was Jake McCabe, after a really bad turnover that led to the first goal, I thought brought it around and was pretty effective. So there were plenty of positives. And, ultimately in a season where you got 12 games to go, you're locked into a playoff spot. The results really don't matter to me. It's more about, the dreaded word, the process. And tonight the process was really good.
Well, Austin Matthews played 22:56. Only Morgan Riley played more. He had 7 shots, another 5 that did not get through for 12 attempts. You're not going to have those kind of minutes and those many attempts on a night where he doesn't score very often, although he did get an assist, but he did not score a goal, and that's just sort of an outlier for him. 2-1, Carolina wins over the Leafs. We'll continue on Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Hear the Masters exclusively on SiriusXM. Hi, this is Mike Tirico, and there's nothing like the Masters.
Rory McIlroy, he's thinking Grand Slam.
The beauty of the azaleas, the passion of the patrons, and the best golfers in the world vying for a green jacket.
It turned right into the cup for John Rahm.
It all makes for one of the most iconic weekends in sports. Join me for live coverage of the Masters beginning Thursday, April 11th on Masters Radio, Channel 92, and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
The Points with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Points with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Hockey 24/7 on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and on your schedule with the SiriusXM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
Leafs Game Night, losing in Carolina by a score 2-1. Interesting hockey game. Fascinating uphill climb by the Leafs after they went down 2-0 very early in the first period. Couldn't get it done, not through lack of trying. Morgan Riley postgame was asked if the Leafs are playoff ready.
I think so. I think from here on in, our group has to be very competitive and, treat these games. There's tons on the line, because there is. No one's safe yet. There's still lots of movement that can happen. So, for us, we're trying to ramp up into that kind of playoff mode, and obviously they're doing the same. So, it's a very competitive night, and I thought they did a good job of making it challenging on us.
TJ comes back into lineup. I know you don't play on the same pair in this game, but what did you make of his first game back here?
Yeah, Broads was great. He came in after a little reset and, I thought did a good job. He handled everything great. He comes in and works hard and plays well for us.
Morgan Riley, after the 2-1 loss to Carolina, what was your favorite part of the game, Dave? I just like the whole, after they go down 2-0, how they responded.
Yeah, well, I liked the goaltending show. I got to say, I just thought, man, that was entertaining to see Joseph Wall looking like an incredible athlete in that crease, and always a soft spot for everybody in Leafland, or for many in Leafland, people with hearts anyways, for Freddie Anderson, especially given what he's gone through this season with that blood clot issue. For him to be 6-0, as much as the Leafs would like it to be 5-1, for him to be 6-0 after coming off more than 4 months out with the blood clot issue. Joseph Wall's gone through his 3-month absence to the high ankle sprain. These are two goalies that have battled an awful lot of adversity this season, and they put on an absolute clinic tonight, which was great to see. But there was plenty of offense. There was plenty of chances. There was plenty of back and forth. It was, man, that's fun hockey. And I got to say, Americans are really good sports fans because, this is March Madness. The Duke Blue Devils and the Carolina Tar Heels are both still in the tournament, Jim, and they had a sellout crowd watching hockey in Raleigh-Durham. It's an incredible thing, man. They get behind their teams no matter what the sport is, and especially if it's a team like this Carolina Hurricanes team that plays as hard as they do, and so that made for a great atmosphere too. It was a highly entertaining night of hockey, and had to say there was plenty to recommend it, even if the Leafs didn't get the 2 points out of it.
Yeah, well, once Duquesne exited, I just lost it for the March Madness. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like anybody who has a destroyed bracket, which is 99.9% of the population, you go out early,
exactly.
right?
Well, 100%. No, I'm in the same boat. I picked all kinds of crazy long shots that ended up going on in the first round. So another year, another crumpled up piece of paper, and my perfect bracket dream remains alive, but seemingly is dead before it even begins. But yeah, no, this is what a town that is for hockey right now, and great story. Rod Brindamore and everybody involved in that franchise should really be proud. But again, they're looking to do what the same thing the Leafs are looking to do, which is make the kind of impact in the playoffs that they feel they should make, given how good they've been in the regular season these past handful of years. So two really interesting teams playing a really interesting hockey game. I mean, not a better way to spend a Sunday night in Raleigh-Durham.
No, it was a great hockey game. And again, the goaltending was superb. I liked what Ralphie said earlier about going through that lineup, because I do this on a regular basis, is trying to figure out, who doesn't start game one of the playoffs and who does. And for me, it's not really that. It's when things don't work, what's the tweak going to be? Because there's a list of options as to what Coach Keefe and his staff can do in terms of getting that response from different parts of the lineup. This is going to be an intriguing sort of view on the coaching in terms of who's in, who's out, and who plays with who.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a fun debate. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be debates in our sphere on TSN 1050 and every other media outlet in this country that talks about the Leafs, but also in that coach's room, because the options are so many. And the races are so close between some of these guys that these are not easy decisions. It's not clear cut. And like tonight, you come off this Edmonton game, you had Simone Benoit and Connor Timmins, who I thought had a fine game last night, and they're both scratched tonight because Brody and LaBouche can come back in the lineup. To me, I think there's a lot of people that would say certainly Simone Benoit will be in that 6-man unit on game one of the playoffs. And so the idea that he's scratched tonight, that means somebody that played tonight will not be, right? These are tough choices. They really are. And it's going to be weighing the sort of balance between puck movers and more stable, stay-at-home guys. And tonight they had pretty good balance between those two things, I think, on each of the pairings. But then you've also got the experience factor too. As much as Brody's struggled of late, the guy's got a ton of experience. Do you really want to leave him out of the lineup? So as much as Liljegren can be, has had a lot of great games lately, especially on the offensive side of the puck, we all know that he wasn't a part of the 6-man unit in the first part of the series against Tampa last year. So not going to be easy decisions, but they're going to be fun discussions Jim, and luckily we don't have to make the decisions. We just have to discuss this.
Yeah, we have to report on them. It's interesting because in 2 games in less than 24 hours, 4 lineup changes, and a lot was just because it's the next night. But you've got a different goalie in tonight. You've got Brody and Lyubushkin and Bertuzzi returning from illness. I mean, that's a significant overhaul in the roster that I don't know that even a year ago we would have seen that.
Yeah, but, it's funny how, we like to, sort of really, really get to the nitty gritty and talk about every little change between the combinations and what does it do to the chemistry. But I think we saw last night, and I think I said it at the top of the show before the game, so much of chemistry is just about intent and effort and just the team-wide buy-in to how you're going to play tonight. And last night, as we said before the game, all these guys, we had 6 guys had multiple point games, but I thought it said something that they gave the player of the game belt to Joel Edmondson because he set the tone. He set the intent of the team. And to me, when you got players buying into that kind of intent, the aggression, the quickness to the puck, the willingness to win 50-50 battles, when you've got all those things going for you, it doesn't matter as much who's playing with whom because the chemistry just works, right? If everybody's just working, suddenly every line works, every D-pairing works because, everybody's doing their job. To use a Belichickian term there. Do your job, and suddenly it doesn't matter who's playing with whom. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely.
I really do. I think sometimes we just we obsess about who's playing with whom instead of how they're playing together. And how they're playing together matters so much more.
Well, and just a quick thought. I think that over the last 4 or 5 years, it was kind of important who played with who, and the fact that it doesn't seem to matter this year is another step forward.
It is a big step forward. It really does. It really is. And look, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. And Sheldon Keefe's really good at kind of reading a game and understanding who should maybe go out there and who shouldn't. And those things they can be important. You can spark a team with the right guy on the ice at the right time. I'm not trying to minimize that, but I do think ultimately, if people are buying in and they're saying, look at Edmondson out there, he's blocking shots, he's hitting people, he's ticking off Leon Draisaitl, he's hitting McDavid. I'm getting on board with that. That's how we're playing tonight. Take us along. We're going to just beat the brakes off the Edmonton Oilers. Like that, to me, that's how you're going to win games. You need that internal buy-in. You need that internal policing that says, hey, guys, not about the coach. It's about us together deciding we're all going to do it together. And I think that's where you see a guy like Edmondson being added here. I think